traveling during climate emergency. Tesla CEO Elon Musk's record-breaking $56 billion pay award will not be reinstated, a judge has ruled. The decision in the Delaware court comes despite it being approved by shareholders and directors in the summer. Leaked images of Jaguar's much-hyped electric concept car have appeared hours before the model's official unveiling in Miami. A spokesperson says the firm is aware of pictures circulating online, but it is unclear how accurate they are. Well, our big focus, the attack by Syrian rebel group on the country's second biggest city, Aleppo, and seizing it has left the United States in a state of dilemma, as it is not taking any position related to the recent attack, while maintaining 1,000 troops in Syria as part of the ongoing mission to fight ISIS. Now, making the position difficult for the US was National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan's statement to CNN, where he said that the rebel forces attacking the Syrian regime are designated as terrorist organizations by the United States. Here's an explainer from Beirut for you regarding the current state of affairs.
Northern Syria has been rocked by a days-long insurgency as fighters swept through villages and towns and advanced into the city of Aleppo. The insurgency is led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, a group designated by the United States and the United Nations as a terrorist organization. Armed groups backed by Turkey are also involved in this surprise attack. Now, unlike other insurgencies in war-torn Syria, it appears that the fighters face little to no resistance from the Syrian military, as they made their way through towns and villages and picked up munitions and vehicles left along the way. Now, Syria, alongside its key ally Russia, has launched a counter-insurgency. They have launched airstrikes over Idlib province, Hama, and Aleppo, trying to take out the insurgents. The Syrian army says that they've killed hundreds of insurgents over the past 24 hours. Now, this comes at an interesting time, as Syria's key allies Russia and Iran are preoccupied by conflicts of their own. And this recent flare-up in the Middle East also comes as there's conflict in the Gaza Strip and Lebanon.
Meanwhile, as per reports, the United States and the United Arab Emirates have discussed with each other the possibility of lifting sanctions on the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad if he peels himself away from Iran and cuts off weapon routes to Lebanon's Hezbollah. The conversations intensified in recent months, our sources have informed us, driven by the possible expiry on the 20th of December of sweeping US sanctions on Syria and by Israel's campaign against Tehran's regional network, including Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and Iranian assets in Syria. Speaking of Iran, well, Iran has thrown its support behind Syria's government after thousands of insurgents took control of the country's second largest city of Aleppo and seized nearby towns and villages in a swift and surprise offensive. Just listen in to what Iran's foreign ministry spokesman had to say. Right, while we realign that reaction for you, let's also get you an update as far as Lebanon is concerned. The Israeli Defense Forces have said that it is striking targets in southern Lebanon after Hezbollah officials said earlier they fired on an Israeli target. Hezbollah officials said that they had fired on an Israeli target in southern Lebanon, accusing Israel of repeated violations of this ceasefire agreement. In fact, the IDF said Hezbollah launched 2 projectiles towards the area of Hardov. There were no injuries, with the projectiles falling in open space, is what the IDF maintains. In other news, United States President-elect Donald Trump has promised there will be hell to pay if captives held in Gaza during Israel's ongoing war are not released by the time he takes office, which is the 20th of Jan. The statement was Trump's most forceful on the deadlocked efforts to bring an end to the war since the November 5th US elections, and also comes amid reports that he is pushing for a ceasefire to be reached before his second term begins. Switching tracks to the other important story we're tracking, in a move to tighten control over China's access to critical technology, the United States has introduced new restrictions aimed at limiting Beijing's technological growth. The US Department of Commerce has imposed fresh limits on the sale of high bandwidth memory chips, which is a key component in AI systems. And these restrictions target not only American companies like Micron Technology, but also foreign giants like South Korea's SK Hynix and Samsung Electronics. Now, these memory chips, in case you aren't aware, are crucial for data storage and are vital for the development of artificial intelligence. However, the United States has stopped short of sanctioning additional major Chinese firms, signaling a more measured approach in this ongoing tech battle. Well, for further clarity from Washington, D.C., we have with us Ray Locker. Thank you so much, Ray, for making time for us and joining us on NDTV. Do you think this is a necessary step to protect national security, or is this an economic strategy to prevent China from overtaking the U.S. in key areas? Or are we witnessing the start of a dangerous tech Cold War?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, these things are not done spontaneously. They're the result of months, sometimes years of lobbying and communications with various interests, the companies themselves, Chinese diplomats, people in the United States. So these things are a long time coming. And obviously, they're not as stringent as some people suspected or feared they would be.
Now, while these restrictions, Ray, are aimed at stalling China's tech ascent, as many argue, could they backfire by forcing China to actually fast-track its own domestic semiconductor industry? In that case, is this a case of the US inadvertently helping China become more self-sufficient?
I mean, there are always unintended consequences of steps like this, and you're not really sure what's going to happen. If the Chinese do have the capability to go on their own without benefiting from these other companies that are supplying them now, and they do it and are able to seize a market that's important to them, then yes, that's exactly what could happen. My hunch is that the people who came up with this strategy don't believe that will happen, and that they will have some beneficial effect to U.S. industries and other companies in other countries.
Right. Many are questioning whether these actions actually are truly about protecting national security, as many officials in the White House have also indicated, or they're part of a broader strategy to economically cripple China and maintain U.S. dominance in the tech industry. But thank you so much, Ray Locker, for joining us on NDTV.
My pleasure.
Well, Western nations, meanwhile, are bracing for major political shifts. They are boosting their support for Ukraine, and in fact, in a surprise visit to Kyiv, the German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, who is soon set to face a no-confidence vote, pledged that $680 million in military aid would arrive by the year's end. And the Biden administration is preparing to send an additional $725 million in anti-drone systems and munitions. Now, speculation is mounting over what Donald Trump's return to the White House will mean for the war. The president-elect in the US has said he wants Ukraine to strike a deal with Russia, though the head of NATO warned that Washington would face a dire threat from adversaries China, Iran, and North Korea if it negotiates an agreement favorable to Moscow. Meanwhile, the Speaker of Russia's upper legislative house has said that she expects Russian-Ukrainian peace talks to happen next year, and Russia is reportedly open to discussing a Ukraine ceasefire deal with Donald Trump, but rules out making any major territorial concessions and insists Kyiv abandon ambitions to join NATO. Russia continues to demand, and I quote, demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine, and in previous peace negotiations said that Kyiv's military should actually be reduced to 50,000. Let's turn our attention now to Spain. Well, Spain will allow workers up to 4 days of paid leave to help them avoid traveling during climate emergencies. Employers were criticized for making staff work despite an alert that was sent out ahead of the October floods that killed at least 224 people. And these new measures in Spain dictate that when the government announces an emergency, workers must refrain from going to work. Extreme weather is expected to become more common as the climate changes, and the World Resources Institute warned that Europe, which is warming faster than any other continent, should expect more heat waves and demand for air conditioning in the coming years, and up to a 9-fold increase in heat-related deaths by 2050. Meanwhile, we have an update from Tesla as well. Elon Musk a court has ruled that Elon Musk will not get a bumper $56 billion package has lost the bid to restore Elon Musk's record pay, and a court in Delaware has ruled, despite the shareholders giving a green light to this bumper pay package, that Elon Musk will not be cashing in on the $56 billion. As always, news and updates continue right here on NDTV. Don't go anywhere. We're slipping into a very short break.
Introducing Vice 4K UHD Smart TV. Quantum Luminate gives more than 1 billion colors. Upscale your content resolution up to 4K. Enjoy your games with auto low latency mode. Watch your favorite movie with voice command.
Play my favorite movie.
Experience sound with Dolby Audio. Connect with your favorite apps and games on the Content Store. Powered by Web OS Hub. Connects with Apple devices. Unlimited family entertainment with Vice TV. Vice, the science of simple.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
Now, a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
from Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of governance, Delhi. NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
Becoming a member of jury of NDTV was a totally different challenge altogether.
When you recognize contribution to society, these stories are inspiration for everyone who views them.
The NDTV Indian of the Year is an extremely important initiative.
Nominees were just extraordinary.
Each one of them is a rock star.
And the achievers in this field who are inspiration for the Indians in this country have been chosen for this prestigious award.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages, Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and
Welcome back. Well, France's government is on the verge of collapse. The country's far-right and leftist parties said that they support a no-confidence vote against Prime Minister Michel Barnier that could happen this week. Now, following snap elections, the government effectively relied on far-right leader Marine Le Pen's support to function. The crisis escalated after Barnier pushed a budget bill through Parliament without a vote on Monday. Now, French stocks have fallen on the news, and the uncertainty could longer-term damage to market credibility is what many experts highlight. In other news, the Indian steelmaker JSW will launch its own electric vehicle brand, part of India's growing move to become a manufacturing hub. JSW already planned to build and sell Chinese-designed cars, but its owner Sajjan Jindal has said on record that it didn't want to be an outpost of a Chinese company. Sajjan Jindal expects to benefit from US-China decoupling under US President-elect Donald Trump, even if there are tariffs on Indian companies. A little bit of background for you now. India itself is a huge market for electric two-wheelers, and globally, a recent slowdown in EV sales may be over because October saw a 35% jump year-on-year with growths across all regions. Switching tracks, well, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will be holding talks with his Kuwaiti counterpart, Abdullah Al Yahya. Kuwait's foreign minister will be touching down in India, and the two leaders are expected to hold talks on geopolitical developments as far as the region is concerned. And in other news, the Gaganyaan mission, our country's maiden crewed spaceflight program, is expected to be launched by the end of 2026, with the rocket's first uncrewed test flight likely to be held early next year. This is what the Indian Space Research Organization has said. Listen in.
On 4th December, this is a launch of PSLV. It's called PSLV C-59. It's launching a satellite called Proba 3. This satellite is from European Space Agency on contract with NSIL. It's a satellite for studying sun, built by ISRO, and PSLV launches it to a very special orbit called a very highly elliptical orbit, 600 km in its closest point to Earth, and 60,000 km away point. So such a highly eccentric orbit it is launched. The rocket for Gaganyaan is completely human rated and is ready. The first rocket assembly is going on right now at Satish Dhawan Space Center. We also have another 3 launches to happen before that. And once all 3 launches are successful, we will have the crewed mission. And all astronauts are ready. Next 2026 end is our target for launching. The government has given approval for Chandrayaan 4. Chandrayaan 4 will go again to the same point, the South Pole. And we will look at how we can go there, take some specimen or drill and take out some samples, come back to Earth and deliver it. To go to Moon and come back, we need to make 2 launches. One launch today, and after 15 days we need to do another launch. So both satellites will go to space and dock together and become a single satellite and go to Moon and then come back. So this is the first time we are going to do. No one has done like this before. So we hope that we will become the first country to do such a complex maneuver.
Meanwhile, a beautiful replica of the moon shaped exactly like the globe of the moon is a big attraction at the ongoing India International Science Festival in Guwahati. My colleague Pallav Bagla takes a close look at the globe made using NASA images. Incidentally, the best images of the moon ever to be taken are by India's Chandrayaan mission. Listen in.
This is a very special display of the moon. A moon created using NASA imagery. Each centimeter represents about 5 kilometers of the moon surface. It is said this is a replica of the moon. India's Chandrayaan 3 landed closer to the south pole of the moon at the Shiv Shakti point. This moon has been created using NASA imagery. But the finest images of the moon surface have been taken by the orbiter of Chandrayaan 2. But a great display of the whole globe of the moon at the India International Science Festival in Guwahati. The moon looks wonderful. In Guwahati, Palav Bagla for NDTV.
And amid President-elect Donald Trump's threat to impose 100% tariffs on BRICS nations, including India, if they undermine the US dollar or replace it for international transactions, my colleague Gauri Dwivedi spoke with South Africa's Minister of Tourism about the latest developments and a whole lot more. Here's a glimpse of their conversation.
I am in conversation with Ms. Patricia de Lille, who is the Minister of Tourism for Government of South Africa. We are talking at a time when there is enough and more happening when it comes to Global South and when it comes to BRICS as well. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out the time and speaking to NDTV.
Great pleasure, thank you.
India and South Africa are both very important members of the Global South, and Global South has some very important issues, climate being one of them, one of the most important. And the COP summit really proved that. In your assessment, how do you see the India-South Africa relationship ties, especially when it comes to climate, and can they become a leader when it comes to Global South, showing the way for some of the other countries around the world?
No, we're certainly on the side of India when it comes to climate change. And of course, India is correct in saying that it is not the developing nations, the Global South, that are responsible for climate change. All the so-called developed countries built their riches and their wealth on fossil fuels, cheap fossil fuels. Yes. And so we as a developing South have to pay for that. And it's not fair. It was not caused by the Global South. And of course, the peanuts that is being offered by the developed world to mitigate the impact of climate change on the whole world, it's ludicrous, it's ridiculous. After having caused the problem, then say to the developing nations in the Global South that you must go and fix it. So South Africa fully support the stance of India when it comes to climate change issues.
South Africa now has the presidency of the G20. What are the key areas that South Africa wants to focus on in the G20? What about it, whether it is the focus on Global South, whether it is the focus on technology for developing countries, what is it that is going to be the key focus for South Africa in its G20 presidentship?
Just last week, Tuesday and Wednesday in South Africa, South Africa and India came together to look at a just transition from fossil fuels to renewable energies and look at solutions as to how we can mitigate it. So when it comes to climate change issues, there's a very good relationship. But with us assuming the G20 chairpersonship, we're also taking forward the legacies of Indonesia, of India and Brazil when they were leading the G20 nations. We will be continue to build on that. And you know, as we invite all the G20 nations to our country in 2025, we can't wait. You know, South Africans are very warm-hearted people. We can't wait to welcome all the G20 members to our shores. But we also encourage people to stay and continue to explore the beauty of South Africa. So it's a very exciting year awaiting us in South Africa.
clothes करते नहीं impress. Life हुई easy कितना कुछ free only with single ID. ये भी free वो भी free कितना कुछ free only with single ID. Get it free with single ID. कितने सारे apps मुझसे जुड़े brands मेरे पास है सबसे बड़ी. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Only with single ID. Get it free with single ID.
Download any single ID partner app, link your card and earn rewards with top brand.
Get it free with single ID.
Introducing Vice 4K UHD Smart TV. Quantum Luminate gives more than 1 billion colors. Upscale your content resolution up to 4K. Enjoy your games with auto low latency mode. Watch your favorite movie with voice command.
Play my favorite movie.
Experience sound with Dolby Audio. Connect with your favorite apps and games on the Content Store. Powered by Web OS Hub. Connects with Apple devices. Unlimited family entertainment with Vice TV. Vice, the science of simple.
Becoming a member of jury of NDTV was a totally different challenge altogether.
When you recognize contribution to society, these stories are inspiration for everyone who views them.
The NDTV Indian of the Year is an extremely important initiative.
Nominees were just extraordinary.
Each one of them is a rock star.
And the achievers in this field who are inspiration for the Indians in this country have been chosen for this prestigious award.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai. India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
Now, a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Hello everyone, you're watching Breakfast Show on NDTV. I'm Radhika Ramaswamy joining you from Mumbai studios, and we also have Divya Vadva joining us from Delhi studios. Divya, Cyclone Fangel aftermath is being felt across southern states. We bring you all the latest on that. And in Maharashtra, stalemate over chief ministerial face and portfolios continue with no official announcement. So we have tons coming up on the show.
That's right, a lot coming up on the show, including Uber that's rolled out Shikara services in Kashmir, and what really happened in the Supreme Court in regard to the pollution here in the NCR region. Well, it is the Supreme Court that says that there needs to be a downward trend before they can ease those restrictions. Let's first get you the headlines. In this is Cyclone Fangel, the aftermath that continues, and a red alert now has been sounded off for multiple states. We're talking about very heavy showers coming about in the next 24 hours, and a landslide that has been reported in Tamil Nadu has claimed 7 lives.
And on pollution woes in the national capital, Delhi continues to breathe poor air. In fact, GRAP 4 remains in place till December 5.
And no end as far as the suspense in Maharashtra is concerned, but like we've been reporting perhaps every single day that that decision is about to be announced perhaps today, anytime now, and sources are indicating that portfolio distribution will take place. That discussion will take place only after the oath-taking ceremony on the 5th of this month.
Bangladesh court to hear a bail plea of priest Chinmoy Das today. In fact, the priest was arrested last week on sedition charges. His bail plea will be heard by a court in Bangladesh.
And the MPs in United Kingdom are raising concerns about the atrocities against minorities in Bangladesh on the floor of the House. They say robust action is needed.
And massive advance bookings for Allu Arjun's Pushpa 2 film. Starting with Cyclone Fangel, Fury, Divya, Cyclone Fangel is impacting several regions in South India, including Puducherry, of course, where schools are closed at the moment due to heavy rains. Of course, Cyclone had made landfall near the Union Territory on Saturday, but the impact, Divya, is being felt in different parts of South India.
That's right, Radhika. The aftermath of that cyclone that's being felt in various parts of southern India, including Bangalore as well as Hyderabad, also experiencing significant amount of rain, causing weather disruptions. We're talking about even Kerala that's coming under the impact of this weather system, which is now reduced to the category of a low pressure area, but it continues to bring about very heavy rainfall. That's what we've seen. 7 lives have been claimed due to a landslide that was reported in Tamil Nadu. And a second landslide.
That's right, a second.
Tamil Nadu temple. This is on Monday afternoon, a day after the first, led to a boulder falling on a residential building and killing a family of 7 people, Radhika.
That's right, very tragic indeed. The first taking place on Sunday at about 4:30 p.m. on the lower slopes of a hill there after heavy rainfall because of Cyclone Fangel, which crossed the coast on Saturday afternoon near Chennai. Of course, rescue operations, Divya, we believe, are still going on.
That's right. Rescue operations aided by a team of experts from the Indian Institute of Technology in Chennai. Those are underway but have been hampered due to the kind of rainfall that is being reported, particularly in the last 24 hours. Radhika, do remember there was a red alert warning in place for Karnataka, for Kerala as well as Tamil Nadu.
That's right. In fact, a chief minister of Tamil Nadu there announcing 5 lakh rupee for each family impacted by the landslide, and has in fact been seeking assistance from the centre as far as rescue and relief operations are concerned. So certainly Cyclone Fangel Fury there impacting not just Tamil Nadu but also several other regions in southern India. But unfortunate news, 7 are killed in Tamil Nadu landslides. Let's go straight across to reactions that we are coming in. Udayanidhi Stalin on the tragedy that occurred in the state.
ஒரு 6:30 மணி அளவில் புதைந்த வீட்டில் சிக்கிய 4 பேருடைய உடல்கள் வெளியே எடுக்கப்பட்டுள்ளன. மற்ற 3 பேருடைய உடல்களை மீட்கும் பணி தொடர்ந்து நடைபெற்று வருகின்றது. மலையிலிருந்து ஏற்பட்ட மண் சரிவு மற்றும் பாறை சரிவில் சிக்கிய 7 உயிர்கள் பறிபோயிருப்பது மிகுந்த ஒரு வேதனைக்குரிய ஒரு விஷயம். அவருடைய மரணத்திற்கு என்னுடைய இரங்கலை அரசின் சார்பாக தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றோம். மேலும் அவருடைய உறவினர்களுக்கு என்னுடைய ஆறுதலை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றேன். மாண்புமிகு தமிழக முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் உயிரிழந்தவருடைய குடும்பங்களுக்கு இழப்பீடாக தலா ரூபாய் 5 லட்சத்தை வழங்க உத்தரவிட்டிருக்கிறாங்க. அதனை நாளை மாலைக்குள் கொடுக்க வேண்டும் என்று மாவட்ட ஆட்சித்தலைவருக்கு சொல்லியிருக்கின்றேன்.
Let's go straight across to Sam, who's reporting on the cyclone and the aftermath from Tamil Nadu. Divya, Sam, several people found dead as a result of a landslide. Take us through the relief and rescue operations that are ongoing, not just in the parts where the landslide happened, but in other regions as well. We believe Chief Minister is seeking more aid from the centre.
That's right, Radhika and Divya. To begin with, the operation at Thiruvannamalai, where 7 people lay trapped after a landslide falling off boulder from a hillock onto their building.
bodies of 5 members have been retrieved. The work was suspended last night. It's going to resume any time now. And the government has declared that all of them are dead, although the remains of 2 more are to be retrieved. And as we speak, there is also a protest by the local people asking authorities to expedite the rescue work. And the government has announced a relief of 5 lakh rupees. It was a very risky operation because there was a possibility of other boulders from the hillock rolling down. And even as the work was underway, there was another landslide in a neighboring temple as well. In terms of the situation across these districts, Viluppuram, Kadalur, Thiruvannamalai and Kallakurichi have been badly affected. Also impact felt in Krishnagiri. This happened mainly because in Thiruvannamalai, the Sathanur Dam filled to its capacity and the discharge was let into the river Tenpannayar, and that is in spate, and that led to waters entering thousands of homes, ruining lifetime savings of thousands of people in Kadalur, adjoining Viluppuram and a few other areas. Now authorities say the discharge has been reduced and more than 12,000 people have been moved to relief centers, and restoration of power supply is also underway. Soon after waters recede, authorities say area by area the power supply is being restored. But for the common people, it's a huge irreparable loss. And Tamil Nadu government has sought an interim relief of 2,000 crore rupees from the central government. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has written to the Prime Minister saying that the state's resources are overwhelmed by the kind of disaster despite all preparatory works. And to be specific, he says 12 people have been killed, 69 lakh families and 1.25 crore people have been directly, 1.5 crore people have been affected. And he specifies in terms of the loss of infrastructure as well, in terms of roads, bridges, public buildings, schools, and that's why he wants an interim relief of 2,000 crore to begin with. And the Met has forecast no rains for this region, but it is switching towards the western part of Tamil Nadu, including Coimbatore, Salem, Dharmaburi in those areas, Krishnagiri in those areas. And since there's no rainfall in that sense, it gives a little bit of time for authorities to speed up their restoration work. The larger question is, it's going to take a long time for these people who lost their little bit of belongings in every such home. All of them are poor, lower middle class families in these areas, and that's going to take a long time. But a clearer picture in terms of the quantum of the loss by this disaster, particularly because Cyclone Fangel stayed put there before the landfall and even after the landfall, triggering extremely heavy rainfall. For example, Pondicherry received 49 centimeters rain, Milam and Viluppuram received 51 centimeters rain, and we'll have to wait and watch what kind of a response will the central government deliver. The state has also asked for a team to be sent by the centre for assessment of the damages in these areas in Tamil Nadu.
Right. Thank you, Sam, for getting us an overall picture of the impact of cyclone in Tamil Nadu. So there were large-scale destruction and devastation there, and of course, the rescue operation still continuing in the spot where the landslide happened. In fact, let's also find out its impact in Karnataka. Bengaluru has been witnessing rainfall since Sunday evening. Coastal and southern Karnataka to witness rains till Wednesday due to the weakening of Cyclone Fangel. Yellow alert being issued for Bengaluru, Hassan and Ramanagara.
That's right. So that orange alert warning that's been also issued for other areas, including Udupi. Now, schools have remained closed in particular areas, including Mysuru. The IMD has also advised a fisherman warning when it comes to the southern part of Karnataka. Those fishermen have been asked not to venture into the sea. So when we're talking about Bengaluru, that has witnessed rainfall since Sunday evening. So coastal and southern, there's a south interior part of Karnataka to witness rain till today due to the weakening impact of that cyclone. We have Pratibha joining us. Pratibha, take us through the situation on the ground. How bad is it? We know that heavy showers have been reported since the last 24 hours. There was even a red alert warning in place for most parts of Karnataka.
In fact, ever since yesterday, there's been a yellow and an orange alert that has been issued in coastal districts as well as south interior Karnataka, which would get into a red alert mode as well. And talking about the coastal districts of Karnataka, heavy showers that have been witnessed since Sunday evening, and preparation that have been put in place, like schools and colleges that have been shut, will remain shut today as well. As far as districts in South Interior Karnataka are concerned, several of them like Kolar as well as Chamarajanagar are quite affected with heavy rains, and schools and colleges remain shut there as well. And talking about Bengaluru in particular, yellow alert that has been issued here. Low to moderate rainfall that has been recorded, which means 6 centimeter to 11 centimeter rainfall recorded since Sunday evening. And the IMD has predicted these showers to continue until the next 48 hours. And talking about Bengaluru, yes, some respite now. And when it comes to heavy rains in Bengaluru, of course, infrastructure as well as traffic jams continue to be causing a lot of mess for commuters, most of them dreading navigating through Bengaluru roads, and that has been the situation ever since these heavy showers that have been found in Bengaluru and other districts here. Back to you.
Let's switch our focus as far as the pollution here in the national capital is concerned. And do remember, it was the Supreme Court that took up the matter yesterday and had gone on to say that there needs to be a consistent downward trend when it comes to the pollution in the national capital before the graded response action plan stage 4 restrictions can be eased off. And there will be another hearing on the matter, and that's going to be as early as Thursday, Radhika, where the chief secretaries of Delhi, Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, basically the NCR region, they've been asked to virtually attend that hearing.
That's right, Divya. In fact, Supreme Court taking serious view of the failure of states in the national capital region to compensate construction workers whose livelihood has been affected by the halt of construction activities amid the air pollution crisis in the national capital. Court also saying it had expected at least one of the states to show that they had paid the allowance to a sizable number of workers. So court there clearly wrapping the government over the lack of action as far as anti-pollution measures are concerned, Divya.
Right. The court also emphasized the need for a mechanism to monitor the instances of stubble burning. Do remember that this doesn't take place throughout the day, and that is what the Supreme Court has focused on, emphasizing that the current satellite monitoring is only for a few hours of the day, and that really is not sufficient. We have my colleague Tanushka joining us to get us a sense of how bad it is this morning. Tanushka, I went for a walk last night and I can feel the pollution in my lungs this morning. I've been coughing, so of course pollution levels, whatever they might be visibly or as far as the data is concerned, is really impacting everyone's health.
Definitely, Divya and Radhika, there has been a slight improvement in the air quality levels in Delhi today. Delhi is seeing its third consecutive day of air quality, which has dropped to the poor category. Still not ideal, definitely not. But as we speak, the air quality in Delhi right now is that of 274, which means that it has dropped from its, 32 spell of being in the very poor category. Delhi saw 32 consecutive days of very poor air quality, and only now it is seeing air quality which is in the 200 bracket, which is that of the poor quality level. So it could be said that this is a welcome relief. Nevertheless, this is not an ideal situation. Where I am at currently, in the visuals that you're seeing on your screens right now of those buildings that you can barely see because of the thick layer of smog, is from Noida. Even though Noida is recording an air quality index of 172, which is that of the moderate level, what we are seeing in front of us are smoggy skies. So definitely pollution still remains a major concern, as the Supreme Court also refuses to roll back the GRAP 4 measures. The Supreme Court yesterday said that it would not permit any relaxation in the GRAP 4 measures without there being a consistent downward trend in the air quality index. The Supreme Court also said that it will examine the AQI levels again on December 5th and check whether there has been a downward trend or not. And as the both of you also mentioned, that the Supreme Court has also issued notices to states with respect to answers and responses as to how have they compensated the contractual workers, because in GRAP 4 construction work is not permitted. What we can also say that, you know, this drop in the air quality levels that we're seeing right now, as weather experts are also mentioning, is because of the dry northwesterly winds and ample amount of sunshine in the atmosphere. However, this also, you know, is correlative to the fact where the stations are in the cities, in Delhi NCR as well. That also affects, of course, the fact that BS3 and BS4 vehicles have been banned because of GRAP 4 has contributed to this, you know, this improvement in the air quality levels. But still, Delhi NCR remains far from seeing a good and a clean air day. Back to studio.
All right. Thank you, Tanushka, for getting us those ground details. Certainly very concerning. Of course, the air quality, Divya, we believe is oscillating between poor and very poor in Delhi over the last several weeks. Let's move on now to Maharashtra. Now, suspense over new Maharashtra Chief Minister is likely to end on Wednesday, as BJP is scheduled to elect its legislative party leader in the legislative party meeting that is scheduled to take place on Wednesday. Divya, in fact, NCP Chief Ajit Pawar in Delhi. In fact, he will be meeting with top leadership is what we are hearing. Fadnavis's confidant Girish Mahajan visiting Eknath Shinde, who had been unwell at his home on Monday evening as well.
Right. So, of course, regarding that particular meeting in terms of Fadnavis's confidant who met with Eknath Shinde, even as the BJP and the Sena say that it was just a courtesy call and that he was there only to inquire about Eknath Shinde's health. To remember, he had gotten sick when he'd gone to Satara over the weekend, and speculation is rife that Mahajan had not just gone to check on his health, but had gone with a message regarding power sharing, and that is really what the meeting was all about. However, today we're expecting a meeting of the Mahayuti leaders, which got pushed a few times, and it's now slated to take place today. And sources are saying, as far as the discussion regarding the portfolio distribution is concerned, that will be held after the swearing-in ceremony that will take place at 5 p.m. on the 5th of December at Azad Maidan.
माननीय एकनाथ जी शिंदे साहब 4-5 दिन से बीमार थे, इसलिए मैं उनकी तबीयत की पूछताछ करने यहाँ पर उनके घर आया था। करीब 1 घंटा सवा घंटा हम लोग साथ में बैठे, पूरी बातचीत हमारी वहाँ पर हुई है। 5 तारीख की तैयारी के बारे में भी उन्होंने मुझसे कुछ बातें की, मैंने भी उनसे कुछ कहा, अवगत करा, क्योंकि बाहर ही नहीं आए थे। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि 5 तारीख का कार्यक्रम हमारा ऐतिहासिक कार्यक्रम ऊपर होगा। देश भर से सभी नेता, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, अमित भाई है, नड्डा जी है, सभी नेता यहाँ पर आएंगे और बड़े धूमधाम से ये कार्यक्रम मनाया जाएगा।
Let's go straight across to Anuj on this. Anuj, of course, no official announcement yet as far as CM post or even portfolios are concerned. But yesterday, Girish Mahajan visiting Eknath Shinde, that has sparked a lot of speculations. We believe he could have gone there for some discussions on portfolio distribution, but no, formal declaration of that. But what are you picking up at this point? What can we expect before December 5?
Eknath Shinde kind of postponing the meetings of Mahayuti is seen as delaying the inevitable, because the BJP clearly has got a lot in their hands before the 5th, and it's the Bharatiya Janata Party who's going to use their iron fist to make sure that the portfolio distribution happens in a particular way. But at the same time, we are seeing that the Bharatiya Janata Party is very well aware of the kind of importance that Eknath Shinde brings to the Mahayuti government, at least as of now, and that is why they really want to keep him close. Some sources suggest at least till the BMC election, where the Shiv Sena party is going to play a very crucial role. And that is why we saw yesterday the Bharatiya Janata Party's trusted troubleshooter Girish Mahajan visit and talk to Eknath Shinde for over an hour. Now, Eknath Shinde is expected to be back in the action mode today. He is, he's expected to resume all of these meetings which were postponed and rescheduled in the last 2 to 3 days. But the more important meetings, that is the Mahayuti heads in the state meeting together to decide on the portfolios, is only expected to happen after tomorrow's Legislative Assembly meeting, which will be helmed by the observers Nirmala Sitharaman and Vijay Rupani, who will, in all likeliness, be here in the city by tonight. And an important development would take place only after the Bharatiya Janata Party chooses its elects its legislative assembly head, which again is expected to be Devendra Fadnavis, and it would be in line with who their chief ministerial candidate would be. But the Mahayuti is seriously running against the clock, especially by announcing 5th of December as as their swearing-in ceremony. While NCP, Ajit Pawar faction and the Bharatiya Janata Party are seen very active and aggressive as we inch closer to the swearing-in ceremony. It is Eknath Shinde's Shiv Sena with 57 odd MLAs, which seems to be keeping itself at some distance, be it about discussions in oath-taking ceremony or otherwise too.
Right, Anuj, all eyes on that announcement, and like we've been saying practically every day that we're expecting that announcement to come about at least today because the swearing-in ceremony is going to be taking place on Thursday, the 5th of December. Switching tracks now, a court in Bangladesh has set today as the date for the bail hearing of the Hindu leader Krishnadas Brahmachari. Do remember that he was arrested last week on sedition charges. Now, a court says that the date for the hearing has already, is going to be taking place today. Radhika.
That's right. Chinmoy Krishnadas Brahmachari, a prominent former leader of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as ISKCON, in Bangladesh, was arrested in Dhaka last month after protests by Hindu community demanding stronger legal protection for minority groups.
We have our colleague Saurabh Gupta joining us. Saurabh, a very crucial hearing coming up in regard to the bail plea of the ISKCON priest. We're talking about Krishnadas Brahmachari. What time is this expected in court? And of course, also get us a little context as to what is really happening at the moment as far as the unrest is concerned in Bangladesh.
Well, the unrest is something that's now, of course, become a huge international matter. In fact, it's even come up in the parliament in UK, and that's something that we've seen, over the last few days, not only, in other countries, but also within India. Yesterday, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee called for the Prime Minister's intervention, asking for him to intervene with the UN and seek a UN peacekeeping force to protect minorities, the Hindu community in Bangladesh. Now, Chinmoy Krishnadas, as you know, was arrested and, of course, he was sent to jail. Allegations against him, or what the Bangladesh government is saying, is a sedition charge, something that human rights watchers clearly say that is a trumped-up charge. But what was he doing? Well, he was actually organizing peaceful gatherings to demand safety and security of the minority community, the Hindu community, which has come under attack since the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, left office and fled the country. Now, this is something that obviously is now a huge concern, and all eyes also on Chinmoy Krishnadas's bail hearing, because remember, ISKCON too has been targeted. And while Chinmoy Krishnadas did not hold any post in ISKCON, he was clearly a ISKCON devotee. And, this is something that obviously has become a matter of concern because his continued incarceration for organizing peaceful gatherings on a trumped-up sedition charge is something that, many believe is absolutely unfair and is another way perhaps to, silence these congregations and, activism against these attacks by radical Islamic forces on the minority community, the Hindu community in Bangladesh. And this is why everyone is watching what happens in this, bail hearing, because it will also be an indicator of where Bangladesh is planning to go with this, all of this, because obviously at this point, Hindus and minorities in Bangladesh are clearly unsafe. And that is something that is, is being acknowledged worldwide as well.
Right, certainly a lot of outrage post the arrest. Thank you, Saurabh, for bringing those details. But all eyes as Chinmoy Krishnadas gets produced before the court and his bail hearing scheduled today. Moving on, even as protests against Bangladesh over arrests of Hindu priests have intensified in Tripura and Assam and another northeastern state of Manipur, Chief Minister N. Biren Singh has said that 29 suspected Bangladeshis carrying alleged fake Aadhaar card issued in Assam were apprehended. Divya.
Right, and those 29 Bangladeshis will be deported is what the Chief Minister had to say, acting on a tip-off as far as the police is concerned. They apprehended those suspects and now those Bangladeshis were working at a bakery in Imphal. Let's listen in to what Chief Minister Biren Singh had to say.
Police department got an information from the reliable source that some peoples suspected to be from the outside Bangladesh or something. Police apprehended on suspicion around 29 peoples, which actually they were belongs to, as per their Aadhaar card, they are from Assam. The government has suspended the officer who were issuing the wrong permit to the persons, and as the people's persons were from the Assam, we have rounded up and we have sent back to Assam.
And of course, these sentiments are also being echoed as far as the Parliament in the United Kingdom is concerned. We're talking about MPs there. Former Home Secretary Preeti Patel expressing her deep concerns over the awful violence scene in Bangladesh. She's called on the government to set out how they're engaging as far as the Bangladeshi government is concerned on this very pressing and important issue, Radhika.
Certainly, UK Member of Parliament Bob Blackman, chair of all-party parliamentary group for British Hindus, raising concerns in the House of Commons over the attacks on Hindus in Bangladesh.
It's also raised the arrest of the ISKCON leader, and it's a place of worship I too am very familiar with, near his constituency. But Mr. Speaker, these are deep and long-standing ties between our two countries, and the Minister herself is right to point out that even though she's visited Bangladesh recently, as my honourable friend, the member opposite, has said, the degree of escalation in the violence is deeply, deeply concerning. And what we are witnessing now is just uncontrolled violence in many quarters. And we are now watching with horror and shock as further violence is spread in Bangladesh. We must emphasise that all efforts must be taken now. We have a religious leader who has now been arrested. We need to know effectively what is being done to secure his release, due process in particular.
Since the fall of the previous government in August of this year, Bangladesh has seen more than 2,000 incidents of violence, most of which have been targeted against the minority Hindu community. Hindus make up less than 10% of the Bangladesh population, and my honourable friend will be aware that anti-Hindu violence has been a recurrent event in the country, and indeed the Jamaat-e-Islami party was earlier this year banned after riots in which 200 people were killed. A leading Hindu monk, Chinmoy Krishna Das, who is a former leader of the ISKCON Krishna consciousness movement, has been arrested. The situation is clearly on a knife edge, and with such large diaspora populations in the UK and with large Hindu communities with strong links to the community in Bangladesh, I'd ask my honourable friend what more she can do to have discussions with the Bangladeshi government to ensure that, and with other partners in the region, to ensure that tensions are lowered, the rule of law put into effect.
With that, we'll slip into a short break. Divya, we have lots more coming up on the other side.
That's right, including what Donald Trump has to say about the war in Gaza, that and a whole lot more on the other side. Do stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Download any single ID partner app, link your card and earn reward with top brand.
Get it free with single ID.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the seat of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con,
NDTV initiative for cyber safety.
only on NDTV 24/7.
Becoming a member of jury of NDTV was a totally different challenge altogether.
When you recognize contribution to society, these stories are inspiration for everyone who views them.
The NDTV Indian of the Year is an extremely important initiative.
Nominees were just extraordinary.
Each one of them is a rock star.
And the achievers in this field who are inspiration for the Indians in this country have been chosen for this prestigious award.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai,
India's IT capital.
Welcome back. On to some international updates. Divya, United States President-elect Donald Trump has now promised there will be hell to pay if captives held in Gaza during Israel's ongoing war are not released by the time he takes office on January 20th. So an ultimatum there by Donald Trump, Divya.
That's right, an ultimatum as far as Donald Trump is concerned. The statement on Monday was Trump's most forceful on the deadlocked efforts in order to bring an end to the war since the 5th of November. US elections comes amid reports that he is pushing for that ceasefire to be reached before his second term even begins. He's gone on to say that those people will in fact be, those who will be responsible will be hit even harder than anybody has been hit in the long and history of the United States. He has, in bold letters put out that message, release the hostages now. And Notre Dame is the cathedral that's set to reopen this weekend on the 8th of December after 5 years. And it is the French president who's gone on to make that final visit of the construction site before the grand reopening. And it's Donald Trump, the US president-elect, who will be attending the reopening of the restored Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, which was ravaged by the fire that took place in 2019. So Radhika, has taken 5 years for the restoration. However, from outside it will continue to look like a construction site, even though inside is believed to be a dream.
That's right. His first visit after taking over. In fact, a 850-year-old edifice will welcome visitors and worshippers again this Saturday and Sunday, with several world leaders expected among the guests after sometimes challenging restoration as far as Notre Dame is concerned. Right, moving on, amid President-elect Donald Trump's threat to impose 100% tariffs on BRICS nations, including India, if they undermine the US dollar or replace it for international transactions, we have a special report. In fact, Gauri Dwivedi speaking with South Africa's Minister of Tourism, Divya.
That's right. The South African Transport Minister has spoken to NDTV in this very exclusive interview. Our colleague spoke with him. They discussed pressing global issues such as the future of BRICS and Trump's tariff threat, climate change and G20 and much more. Let's listen in.
I am in conversation with Ms. Patricia de Lille, who is the Minister of Tourism for Government of South Africa. We are talking at a time when there's enough and more happening when it comes to Global South and when it comes to BRICS as well. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out the time and speaking to NDTV.
Great pleasure, thank you.
India and South Africa are both very important members of the Global South, and Global South has some very important issues, climate being one of them, one of the most important. And the COP summit really proved that. In your assessment, how do you see the India-South Africa relationship ties, especially when it comes to climate, and can they become a leader when it comes to Global South, showing the way for some of the other countries around the world?
No, we're certainly on the side of India when it comes to climate change. And of course, India is correct in saying that it is not the developing nations, the Global South, that are responsible for climate change. All the so-called developed countries built their riches and their wealth on fossil fuels, cheap fossil fuels. Yes. And so we as a developing South have to pay for that. And it's not fair. It was not caused by the Global South. And of course, the peanuts that is being offered by the developed world to mitigate the impact of climate change on the whole world, it's ludicrous, it's ridiculous. After having caused the problem, then say to the developing nations in the Global South, that you must go and fix it. So South Africa fully support the stance of India when it comes to climate change issues.
South Africa now has the presidency of the G20. What are the key areas that South Africa wants to focus on in the G20? What about it, whether it is the focus on Global South, whether it is the focus on technology for developing countries, what is it that is going to be the key focus for South Africa in its G20 presidentship?
Just last week, Tuesday and Wednesday in South Africa, South Africa and India came together to look at a just transition from fossil fuels to renewable energies and look at solutions as to how we can mitigate it. So when it comes to climate change issues, there's a very good relationship. But with us assuming the G20 chairpersonship, we're also taking forward the legacies of Indonesia, of India and Brazil when they were leading the G20 nations. We will be continue to build on that. And you know, as we invite all the G20 nations to our country in 2025, we can't wait. You know, South Africans are very warm-hearted people. We can't wait to welcome all the G20 members to our shores. But we also encourage people to stay and continue to explore the beauty of South Africa. So it's a very exciting year awaiting us in South Africa.
Breaking news. news coming in regard to the situation as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, which is still reeling from the impact of the cyclone. And now it's the DMK there pushing for more aid from the centre for the state of Tamil Nadu. It is DMK's Kanimudi who's filed a notice in the parliament in this regard, Radhika.
That's right. In fact, DMK, they're seeking rupees 200 crore aid from centre. Depute central team to assess loss is what the DMK has said. So amid devastation and destruction, DMK, they're pushing for central aid. Let's go straight across to Aishwarya on this. Aishwarya, DMK, they're pushing for Tamil Nadu flood aid from the centre, giving adjournment notice. And earlier, of course, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister had alleged that DMK MP is not being allowed to speak on cyclone.
Well, certainly yesterday it was the DMK MPs and the Tamil Nadu Congress MPs as well who met in the parliament and discussed about how to get the fund released from the centre. Certainly because there was adjournments that we saw, complete washout that we saw for the initial 6 days. Now it is DMK MP Kanimohi who had given an adjournment notice today for an immediate release of rupees 2,000 crore NDRF fund and also deputation of central teams to assessment of losses because of the Cyclone Fangel. On the other side, it is Manikam Jaguar of the Congress party as well who had given an adjournment notice to the Business of House for the purpose of discussing the matter as far as immediate emergency relief fund allocation for Tamil Nadu and Puducherry as well. It has been stated in these adjournment notices by two of the MPs from Tamil Nadu, from DMK and Congress, that this tragic incident had claimed the lives in Puducherry and Tamil Nadu. At least 12 people have lost their lives and caused a widespread destruction across Tamil Nadu. It is Chief Minister M.K. Stalin who had requested 2,000 crore rupees from NDRF, from the NDRF for the urgent restoration efforts in Tamil Nadu and 500 crore for Puducherry as well. In this notice, they have mentioned about the districts where which are severely affected, and these areas have experienced severe flooding, extensive crop damage and destruction of vital infrastructure, and therefore to intervene between the House, it is these adjournment notices which have now been given by DMK MP Kanimohi and Congress MP Manikam Jaguar as well.
All right. Thank you, Aishwarya, for getting us those details. In fact, let's listen into what M.K. Stalin had earlier said about DMK MPs not being allowed to speak on cyclone and rain havoc.
பேச விடலையே, அலோ பண்ணலையே. நாங்கள் முறைப்படி எங்களுடைய கடமை எவ்வளோ சேதாரம் ஏற்பட்டிருக்கு, எவ்வளோ நிவாரணப் பணிகள் ஈடுபட்டிருக்கிறோம் நாங்கள் தெரியும் உங்களுக்கு. அது மக்கள் எவ்வளவு பாதிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறாங்க, விவசாயத்தை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் எப்படிப்பட்ட சூழ்நிலை ஏற்பட்டிருக்கு, தண்ணியில் மூழ்கி இருக்குது, அதெல்லாம் கணக்கெடுத்து நிச்சயமாக அனுப்பிச்சி வைப்போம். அது எங்களுடைய கடமை, அது செய்ய வேண்டியது அவங்களுடைய கடமை. ஆனால் செய்ய ஒவ்வொருதையும் அவங்க மறுத்துட்டு தான் இருக்கிறாங்க. இருந்தாலும் அதையும் மீறி நாங்கள் செஞ்சுட்டு தான் இருக்கிறோம். பார்ப்போம்.
And switching tracks, now let's just switch our focus as far as the Dal Lake is concerned. And now you can book a shikara even you are in Kashmir the next time around. Well, Uber has launched India's first ever water transport service, offering tourists the comfort of pre-booking shikara rides on the Dal Lake in Srinagar through its app. So Uber's water transport service in India is the first in Asia, and this is going to be offering a similar experience like what you perhaps have in European countries, including Venice in Italy.
Absolutely, certainly a transformative service there. Uber Shikara, Asia's first water transport service, allowing users to book Shikara rides through their digital app. Similar offerings, like you said, in European cities like Venice. In its first phase, the company has onboarded 7 Shikaras and plans to gradually expand the fleet based on demand. Let's get you this report filed by Nazir.
A ride on the Shikara at Dal Lake is now just a click away. Kashmir's traditional boats are now linked with technology, as Uber launches its Shikara service at Kashmir's iconic lake. A a Shikara cruise is a dream for every tourist visiting Kashmir. Now they can pre-book a ride directly from Uber app.
Uber, it's all about providing mobility with convenience and making it effortless for people to sort of book a ride to go from one place to another. We are using the same magical experience for tourists who now book Shikara in Srinagar. No trip is complete without a Shikara ride at Dal Lake for anybody coming from India or around the world. So we're just very excited to bring this initiative to Srinagar. It's going to help tourists to pre-book their rides. It will ensure they don't have to come here and haggle with boat owners. They know exactly the amount of money they're going to pay for the ride, the duration of the ride.
Shikara at Dal Lake is a postcard of tourism in Kashmir. A ride on the still waters of the lake offers panoramic view of Zabarwan Mountains, Mughal Gardens, a mesmerizing sunset and its reflection on the lake waters.
ये तो यहाँ कश्मीर को बहुत फायदा है जो हमारे शिकारा वालों को घोड़े वालों को हम हर एक को इससे बहुत फायदा है और यहाँ से जितना भी आएगा पूरा मुल्क में पूरा वर्ल्ड में जाएगा ये हमारा न्यूज़
ये अच्छा कदम है कि कश्मीर में ये रहेगा इसको शिकारा वालों को भी फ़ायदा है जितने भी है टैक्सी है और दूसरे कोई पूरा होटल है हाउस बोट है सबको फ़ायदा ही फ़ायदा है.
A massive influx of tourists over the last few years has given a boost to tourism in Kashmir. Over 2 crore tourists, including religious pilgrims, have visited Jammu and Kashmir in the last 1 year alone. The latest move gives a modern touch to Kashmir's tourist experience. With Nazir Masoodi, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Right, let's move on now. Divya, Indian Space Research Organization Chairman, ISRO Chairman S. Somnath said that Proba 3, a satellite to study the sun, will be launched. In fact, it will take place on December 4. So after moon mission, this is the sun mission by ISRO. Divya.
That's right. Well, it is S. Somnath, the ISRO chief, who's gone on to add that the Gaganyaan mission country's maiden crewed spaceflight program is expected to be launched by the end of 2026 with the rocket's first uncrewed test flight that's likely to be held early next year. Let's listen into what the ISRO chief had to say.
On 4th December, this is a launch of PSLV. It's called PSLV C-59. It's launching a satellite called Proba 3. This satellite is from European Space Agency on contract with NSIL. It's a satellite for studying sun built by ESA, and PSLV launches it to a very special orbit called a very highly elliptical orbit, 600 km in its closest point to Earth and 60,000 km away point. So such a highly eccentric orbit it is launched. Our rocket for Gaganyaan is completely human rated and is ready. The first rocket assembly is going on right now at Satish Dhawan Space Center. We also have another 3 launches to happen before that. And once all 3 launches are successful, we will have the crewed mission. And all astronauts are ready. Next 2026 end is our target for launching. The government has given approval for Chandrayaan 4. Chandrayaan 4 will go to again to the same point, the South Pole. And we will look at how we can go there, take some specimen or drill and take out some samples, come back to Earth and deliver it. To go to moon and come back, we need to make 2 launches. One launch today, and after 15 days we need to do another launch. So both satellites will go to space and dock together and become a single satellite and go to moon and then come back. So this is the first time we are going to do. No one has done like this before. So we hope that we will become the first country to do such a complex maneuver.
And a beautiful replica of the moon, shaped exactly like the globe of the moon, is a big attraction at the ongoing India International Science Festival that's taking place in Guwahati, Radhika.
That's right. In fact, NDTV science editor Pallav Bhagla takes a close look at the globe made using NASA images. Incidentally, the best images of the moon ever to be taken are by India's Chandrayaan mission. Let's get you this report by Pallav.
This is a very special display of the moon. A moon created using NASA imagery. Each centimeter represents about 5 kilometers of the moon surface. It is said this is a replica of the moon. India's Chandrayaan 3 landed closer to the south pole of the moon at the Shiv Shakti point. This moon has been created using NASA imagery, but the finest images of the moon surface have been taken by the orbiter of Chandrayaan-2. But a great display of the whole globe of the moon at the India International Science Festival in Guwahati. The moon looks wonderful. In Guwahati, Palav Bagla for NDTV.
Switching tracks, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Accessible India campaign marks 9 years of remarkable strides in ensuring universal accessibility for specially abled people. Divya, in fact, the campaign has emerged as a groundbreaking initiative.
That's right, Radhika. This is aimed at creating a barrier-free environment for people with disabilities. But from his days before serving even as the Chief Minister of the state of Gujarat to him serving as the Prime Minister of the country, his consistent dedication to the welfare remains a very inspiring journey of compassion and inclusivity. And now switching tracks to some entertainment news now. There's quite a buzz and quite a hype surrounding Pushpa 2. The Rule is reaching new heights as the film is set to break records even before its release with massive events. We're talking about fan events, staggering advance bookings that are taking place globally. So, Radhika.
Absolutely massive fan events, staggering advance ticket sales and global release across more than 12,000 screens. Let's take a close look at the frenzy and the history-making numbers that have set the stage for this blockbuster Pushpa 2.
Welcome to the grandest trailer launch!
The makers strategically planned the film promotions, which started from Patna to Mumbai and then back home to Hyderabad.
पुष्पा कभी झुकेगा नहीं, लेकिन आज पहली बार आपका प्यार के लिए झुकेगा.
The overall excitement of Pushpa 2 is humongous. If we see the advance booking, especially in Hindi, already the first day collection is supposed to be near about 7.45 crores in the advance booking itself. This film will make not less than 80 crores on its opening day.
And the numbers keep growing, with Telangana leading the way, grossing 9.8 crore with a massive 54% occupancy rate. Over 1,400 shows are lined up. But it's not just in South. Even West Bengal is getting in on the action with 1.21 crore advance booking and a solid 21% occupancy rate. In an unprecedented move, Pushpa 2 is also making waves with its pricing.
Fire है तू. Fire नहीं.
Wild fire है. Boom. जो मेरे हक का पैसा है, वो 4 आना हो या 8 आना.
For the official release day, the Telangana government approved 2 additional shows. First is scheduled for 1 a.m. and the other for 4 a.m. in addition to the 5 standard shows.
It's a big worldwide release, more than 12,000 screens. It's not only that, it's one of the biggest IMAX releases globally. It is releasing in 6 languages, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Hindi and Bangla. I believe that if all goes well, we are expecting a big, huge box office start on its day 1.
Reporting from Mumbai, this is Abhi Radhar for NDTV.
Switching tracks, double Olympic medalist badminton player PV Sindhu is set to tie the knot to a Hyderabad-based techie, Venkatadatta Sai. In fact, he is an executive director at Posidex Technologies. And Divya, the wedding all set to take place in Udaipur on December 22nd.
Right. In fact, just days from now is the wedding ceremony, and the announcement came about just days after Sindhu ended a long trophy drought by clinching the title at the Saeed Modi International in Lucknow on Sunday. The wedding events will start as early as the 20th of December. The wedding ceremony will take place on the 22nd, followed by a reception in Hyderabad on the 24th. Like Radhika mentioned, the wedding is taking place in Rajasthan, and soon after she starts training. That is what her father has said, that there's just no time, which is why they're just squeezing in the wedding, and then she'll be back to training right after.
On that note, that's all we have on this bulletin of Breakfast Show. But we'll be back with more news and updates tomorrow, same time, Divya.
Perhaps with more clarity regarding the Chief Minister's face as far as Maharashtra is concerned, and that huge announcement that we're expecting, Radhika, before the swearing-in ceremony on Thursday. We'll be back, same time, same place. To stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
Now, a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group presents NDTV Indian of the Year, powered by Raymond, co-powered by Gallant.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your lives.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of governance, Delhi,
NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
A very good morning. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vadva. We have a whole lot lined up for you, including day 7 of the Parliament session. And Vasu, is the Parliament impasse that's likely to end with the government and the opposition there reaching finally a consensus.
Absolutely, Divya. Today is day 7 of the Parliament, the monsoons, the winter session of the Parliament, and we will get to know if the breakthrough that happened yesterday was actually a breakthrough, and if any legislative agenda gets on the business today.
Right, let's just first get you the headlines. Now, after a week of a washout, it's the Parliament's log jam that breaks, and it's the deadlock that's meant to end after the assurance of that debate as far as the Constitution is concerned. Today also the Finance Minister will be tabling the Banking Law Amendment Bill. And a rain alert warning in multiple states. We're talking about the impact of that cyclone that's weakened into a low pressure area to be felt in Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu as well as Puducherry. Puducherry schools remain shut. A landslide in Tamil Nadu claims lives. And there's no end as far as the suspense in Maharashtra is concerned. The final word on the selection of the chief minister, that's still awaits, and sources are indicating that the discussion on the portfolio distribution, even that is now being pushed till after the oath ceremony, which is going to take place on Thursday, the 5th of December. A Bangladesh court to hear bail plea of priest Chinmoy Krishnadas Brahmachari. The priest was arrested last week on sedition charges. His bail plea coming up. And UK MPs are also raising concerns regarding the atrocities against minorities in the country of Bangladesh on the floor of the House in the United Kingdom, saying that a robust action needs to be taken. And finally, a breakthrough that's come about after that all-party meeting, the debate on the constitution that will be held over 2 days in the Lok Sabha and also in the Rajya Sabha. Of course, it is Kiran Rijiju who's gone on to say that it's not good to disrupt parliamentary proceedings, and which is why now that impasse is finally coming to an end, Vasudha.
Absolutely, Divya. First of all, good morning to all of you. And today is going to be an important day because it's day 7 of the winter session of the Parliament. And we talked a lot about the breakthrough that happened yesterday. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla called floor leaders of all parties, all political parties yesterday. He had a meeting in his room in the Parliament complex, and there were many deliberations. And in fact, this was an attempt by the government, by the Speaker, to ensure that the Parliament runs, the House runs. Remember that there has been a complete washout of the winter session of the Parliament till now. 6 days, no legislative agenda has been taken up. There has been some laying of papers here and there, 1 or 2 questions answered, but clearly a lot of this parliamentary agenda, something that has been called transformative by the government, has not really been taken. And in that, if you see, the banking laws amendment bill was supposed to be introduced. It's again listed today. This is supposed to make the lives of depositors easy. It's going to increase the number of nominees, and it's also going to improve the ease of banking in India. But that really, it couldn't be taken up because of the constant ruckus the opposition was creating. The opposition, basically, the Congress party, wanted a discussion on the bribery allegations against the Adani group, something that the group has completely dismissed. And also the opposition wanted discussions on the Manipur violence. The Samajwadi Party specifically wanted a discussion on the Sambal violence. The TMC has broken ranks completely, saying that they want to take up issues that are of consequence to people in Bengal. They want to talk about more contemporary issues, more meaningful issues such as unemployment, inflation. So clearly there were many fissures and fault lines which emerged in the India bloc, opposition bloc, in the last 2-3 days. And today will be a test of how the opposition actually manages to come together and ensures cooperation to the government to ensure the functioning of the House. But of course, the constitution debate is going to be very important. It's going to take place in the Lok Sabha on the 13th and 14th and in the Rajya Sabha on the 16th and 17th. We'll have to wait and see who replies to that debate. The Prime Minister himself could be replying to that debate, is what we know. Gandhis could be taking part in that. So clearly that is going to be probably the spotlight of this session. Let me go across to my guest now. Sajan Kumar, political analyst, joins us. Sajan, we saw a lot of things that happened in the last 6 days, but there was the ruckus was the highlight of it. Although there was a lot of legislative agenda that was listed. Even today, there's the Oil Fields Act, that's the Oil Fields Bill that is listed in the Rajya Sabha. There's of course the very important Civil Aviation Bill. There's of course the Railways Bill, the banking laws. But clearly, none of this legislative agenda could be taken up. When the Lok Sabha election results came about in June 2024, there was an assumption and understanding that this would mean there would be meaningful debate in the Parliament. But really, this winter session, that really did not at least happen in the first week. How do you think the opposition is managing its strategy, specifically with its back-to-back defeats in Haryana and Maharashtra? Do you think that it is time for the opposition parties to also re-strategize their Parliament approach?
Yeah, precisely, Vasudha. If we see, in the new India, disruption in parliament seems to be the new normal, and that we have seen not just since the Lok Sabha election results, but for the last couple of years. This is one. Two, it also seems that for the opposition in general and Congress in particular, the top leadership is going by something which is called the politics of thrill. I mean, something which gives them some sort of a thrilling, some sort of a excitement rather than going by the mundane things. Mind it, ease of doing business, be it the banking amendment bill or railway amendment bill, it's about the port, it's about the family welfare, lots many other legislations are there which pertains to the mundane life of every day of the people. But that doesn't matter to the opposition because, it seems that unless and until there is no thrill, the opposition will not, embrace it completely and primarily led by when Congress is the anchor. This is one. So therefore, whether it's a breakthrough that now some sort of a compromise is there, there can be multiple breaks in that breakthrough because it has to be seen going by the trend, how long the parliament will be allowed to function. This is one. So therefore, I think it's high time that the Congress top leadership gives more focus to the policies rather than the thrilling issues and politics, because we are witnessing
that's very important. Sajjan, let me just take that question to my colleague Aishwarya. Also, let me remind our viewers that we have Ghanshyam Tiwari of the Samajwadi Party, we have Siddharth Yadav of the BJP. Good morning to you and thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast on this important day. My colleague Aishwarya also joins us from the Parliament. Aishwarya, give us a lowdown of what is expected today. A lot is being expected after the breakthrough that happened between the Speaker and the opposition parties yesterday. But today, neither the Prime Minister nor the Home Minister is going to be in the House. Both of them will be in the launch of the criminal laws in Chandigarh. So, and of course, there's the shadow of the Mahayuti meetings that's also going down because a decision on that is going to be taken soon. What is expected in the Parliament today apart from what is already listed on the legislative agenda?
Well, good morning, Vasudha. It is, we have seen complete washout for the straight 5 days of the winter session of Parliament. Remember, on November 26th, it was Constitution Day that was celebrated at the Parliament premises. And since that very day, it was the opposition MPs who wanted a discussion on the Constitution. And yesterday, it was the floor leader meeting that was called by the Lok Sabha Speaker, in which it was decided that this debate will take place in Lok Sabha on 13th and 14th of December and in Rajya Sabha on 16th and 17th of December. So some consensus had been made between the opposition MPs and the Treasury benches MPs, and all had agreed to have discussion. The government is in a view that they want a constructive debate as far as the public related bills are concerned that needs to be tabled for utmost importance, and therefore the reason perhaps today we can see some business in both the houses, but very importantly it is the Ministry of External Affairs who are going to submit its standing committee reports on different issues as far as the 16th Lok Sabha and 17th Lok Sabha is concerned, and also on the other side it is several important bills that will be tabled as well. But yesterday, remember, it was the Tamil Nadu Congress MPs and DMK MPs who met in the Parliament, and they also further strategized as to how to get the funds released from the centre, and they want the House to be functioned. Today we have been told that at around 10:30 AM, again the opposition MPs will sit together at Mallikarjun Kharge's chamber, and they will further strategize as to how to go ahead in the Parliament as far as their demands are concerned. The Lok Sabha Speaker also agreed for Samajwadi Party to raise in the 0 hour about the Sambal issue. The Trinamool Congress raised that they want to raise the issue of Bangladesh as well, and they had been also given permission for that. So in 0 hour we can see different political parties raising concerns, matters that are concerning to their states specifically, and also some work that we can see amid of the entire ruckus that we have seen and washout that we have seen in the first initial days of the winter session of Parliament.
So finally, some glimmer of hope today after the breakthrough that happened yesterday between the Speaker and the floor leaders of different opposition parties. Let me also give you a wrap of what's going to happen today. Various bills have been have been listed, including the oil fields regulation bill, which will in some ways change the way hydrocarbon exploration is done in India. The banking laws amendment bill, which will in some ways make it easier for depositors, enable them to have more nominees, and of course the railway amendment bill, and also a couple of other bills which have been listed. But of course the Congress party insisting on a debate on the Adani issue, and of course the Samajwadi party insisting on the Sambal violence that took place. But of course a breakthrough has happened yesterday, and that has also resulted in this decision that the Constitution of India will be discussed on 4 days. We'll have to wait and see how that debate pans out. Who are the speakers going to be? Ghanshyam Tiwari of the Samajwadi Party. Mr. Tiwari, tell us, how do you feel about the breakthrough that happened yesterday, sir? There have been 6 days that have passed with no business, and you are one of the more powerful parties in the parliament this time with 37 MPs. Tell us, why is it important for you to get the parliament up and running?
Good morning, Vasudha, to you, the viewers, and my fellow co-panelists. There are 3 things that are important. One is the mindset and the track record of the Batenge Katenge party, BJP. Last 10 years, BJP had brute majority and brute force might in the parliament. And in last 10 years, they ensured that there are more Sundays in those 10 years than sittings in the parliament. They bulldozed through the bills without discussions. They threw out 145 members of parliament, which is a shame, a blot on our democracy. The Prime Minister had the lowest attendance rate in comparison to any Prime Minister in these 10 years. So this is the mindset of BJP. They don't want Parliament to be the voice of the people. Coming to now, the Adani matter does not indict Adani alone. Adani has not taken oath on the Constitution. The Prime Minister has taken oath on the Constitution. It's an opportunity for the Prime Minister to show courage, and if the Prime Minister had shown courage, the Parliament would be functioning. The Prime Minister has to answer. The Prime Minister doesn't do a press conference, so no one can hold him accountable. He is missing from the parliament. So again, in the parliament, he doesn't want accountability. You cannot make somebody the richest man in the world and hold no accountability while selling off assets of the country, as the accusation stands, or allowing that person to bribe several states in the country. Third, we have a Batenge Katenge a model of BJP led by the Batenge Katenge Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, where the government has blood on its hand of innocent people that were killed, and in its ability to actually not stop the violence that was happening in Sambal and repeat the formula of Bahraich. Such a government should ideally be dismissed. But if you look at the cover story of leading magazines in India that cover the Biren Singh tapes of Manipur, it shows the man who is the chief minister. On tape, he is talking about Bambazi, ignoring the directions of Home Minister himself. So when you have a Batenge Katenge party, their model has already destroyed Manipur. The chief minister is still continuing. He ignores the home minister. He's caught on tape, and the party is not taking a responsibility. I don't think BJP has the courage. Neither the Prime Minister is showing that courage, nor the party is showing the courage to own up either their corruption or their Batenge Katenge model.
So Ghanshyam, for you, I think it's also about exposing what you think are the failures of the BJP government, both at the central level and also at the state level. Let me ask this to Siddharth Yadav. Siddharth, you heard what Ghanshyam had to say. Tell us, a lot of people also believe that it is the responsibility of the government to ensure that the house is running. How does the government fare on that count? Because I know that the numbers are not as massive as we saw in 2019 and 2014, but clearly it's also the responsibility of the treasury benches, of the speaker, of the government to ensure that the house is in order, it's running, and that the legislative business is taken up, and so that people don't feel disappointed. Tell us what is really holding you back here.
Good morning, Vasudha. Good morning to all your viewers. I think we have, as a country, made a lot of progress in the ease of doing business, but a lot of progress has to be made in the ease of doing business in the parliament. Because the opposition has made it a point that whatever the case may be, we are not going to let the parliament function. Now, this phrase is very nice that the government has the responsibility for smooth functioning of the parliament. But if the opposition decides that on issues which probably are not even pan-India, on issues which are very important that have to be discussed, but they wish to sideline. They're going to take up some other issues and hold the parliament hostage. I think no government in the world can ensure that the parliament can function. Now, we have a business advisory committee. We have constitutional provisions, statutory provisions for the smooth functioning of the parliament. The opposition decides to keep mum there. The opposition participates there. They say, okay, these are the bills that we are going to discuss. This is the order that we are going to do. But as you get to the floor of the house, they decide to take the parliament a hostage. Now, I think this is the biggest disgrace to the democracy of our country, because the parliament represents the aspirations of the people of this country. What we are going to discuss in the parliament, the laws that are going to be made, those are going to affect millions and millions of lives. Those are the pan-India issues that have to be taken up. Now, in some states, some issue has happened. In another state, some issue has happened. Probably Samajwadi Party would not want to discuss Sambal in Uttar Pradesh Assembly, as they did not bring a resolution about Manipur in Manipur Assembly. But they want some issues which are for the time being, to take them as a shield and take the parliament hostage. I think this is absolutely uncalled for. The government is making all efforts to bring in the opposition and to accommodate all their requests. But they need to participate in the democratic process. If they wish to take it hostage, no government in the country.
I'll have to cut you short here. We'll have to go to Tamil Nadu to find out what really is happening with that heavy kind of rainfall happening there. Thank you, Mr. Tiwari. Thank you, Siddharth Yadav, for joining us. Thank you, Sajjan, for being part of this broadcast. We will get back to you. And also, we'll have to see if it's going to be governance on agenda today, or it's going to be again ruckus. We'll have to see if that breakthrough that happened yesterday has really worked. Day 7 of the parliament. We'll keep getting you all updates. But over to you, Divya.
Right. Vasudha, of course, we're all hopes are pinned on that stalemate that is expected to be over, and it will be business as usual in the parliament. Moving on now, Cyclone Fangel is impacting several regions as far as the southern part of the country is concerned, including Puducherry. Schools and colleges have been closed in the area due to heavy showers, and the cyclone that made landfall, that was on Saturday, but continues to impact, and there is a warning that's been issued for most of the southern states. We're talking about the impact that's going to be felt in Kerala, Karnataka, as well as Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. The aftermath of the cyclone is being felt in these areas, including Bengaluru, Hyderabad. They're also experiencing very heavy amount of rainfall, causing weather disruptions. Tamil Nadu and Kerala are under weather alerts for more rain and potential flooding coming about. To get more on this, we have my colleague Sam Daniel joining us, as well as Pratibha Raman will be with us. Sam, over to you first. Take us through. When was the last time you saw a cyclone that continued to make its presence felt, leaving this trail of destruction for days on end? We're talking about it's been 4 days since the landfall took place in the area on Saturday night.
It's quite a long time, maybe in the early 2000s when a similar cyclone hit the Nagapattinam coast, Divya. But this time it was unusual. Number one, the Met office was going back and forth. They called it a cyclone first, then a deep depression, then a depression. Then suddenly the Met says in 3 hours' time it's going to turn into a cyclone and make its landfall the next day. And then it stays put before the landfall, and then after the landfall, triggering extremely heavy rainfall near Puducherry and the adjoining districts, wreaking havoc in many places. To begin with, 7 people who were trapped in a landslide after a boulder fell on a small house in Tiruvannamala district. All of them have been declared dead. The NDRF, assisted and guided by an IIT Madras team, has retrieved 5 bodies, and the operation is underway to retrieve 2 other bodies as well. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has condoled the loss of lives, announced a relief of 5 lakh rupee for every member of the family, including 5 children who have been killed in this. And the condition in the worst affected areas of Kadalur, Viluppuram, Kallakurichi and Krishnagiri. In most of these areas, the flooding continues, although the rain has stopped. The discharge from the Sathanur Dam in Tiruvannamala continues, and the river Tenpannayaru continues to be in spate, which had led to huge flooding in 3 districts yesterday. Thousands of people saw waters entering their homes and destroying their lifetime savings in terms of furniture, electrical appliances, everything, beds, clothing and everything. And more than 12,000 people have been moved to evacuation centers in these 3 places. Some people even complained that there was no enough notice given about this unusually high amount of discharge. But the administration says they've been given warning at least a week ago of possible deluge this way. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has written to Prime Minister Modi asking for a 2,000 crore rupee interim relief, pointing out that 12 people have died, 2.11 lakh hectares of crop under water across Tamil Nadu, 9,576 kilometers of roads damaged, and 23,000 electrical poles and close to 1,000 transformers damaged. And he hopes that that kind of an aid and a team coming from centre would help the state get some kind of an aid from the central government. But now all concerns would be towards the people affected. Electricity is being restored slowly, and the Met forecast rains in another part of Tamil Nadu, that's in the western side, including Coimbatore, Salem, Dharmaburi, Divya.
Right, so the impact that continues, and it is the Chief Minister of the state asking for more help and more aid from the centre as this cyclone that continues to leave a trail of destruction. Let's listen in to what the Chief Minister had said. He has in fact gone ahead and announced that compensation to the families that have been impacted by the cyclone, particularly the 7 lives that were lost because of that landslide. Listen in.
பேச விடலையா அலோ பண்ணலையா நாங்கள் முறைப்படி எங்களுடைய கடமை எவ்வளோ சேதாரம் ஏற்பட்டிருக்கு, எவ்வளோ நிவாரணப் பணிகள் ஈடுபட்டிருக்கிறோம் நாங்கள் தெரியும் உங்களுக்கு. அது மக்கள் எவ்வளவு பாதிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறாங்க, விவசாயத்தை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் எப்படிப்பட்ட சூழ்நிலை ஏற்பட்டிருக்கு, தண்ணியில் மூழ்கி இருக்குது, அதெல்லாம் கணக்கெடுத்து நிச்சயமாக நாங்கள் அனுப்பிச்சி வைப்போம். அது எங்களுடைய கடமை, அது செய்ய வேண்டியது அவங்களுடைய கடமை. ஆனால் செய்ய ஒவ்வொருத்தையும் அவங்க மறுத்துட்டு தான் இருக்கிறாங்க. இருந்தாலும் அதையும் மீறி நாங்கள் செஞ்சுட்டு தான் இருக்கிறோம். பார்ப்போம்.
புதைந்த வீட்டில் சிக்கிய 4 பேருடைய உடல்கள் வெளியே எடுக்கப்பட்டுள்ளன. மற்ற 3 பேருடைய உடல்களை மீட்கும் பணி தொடர்ந்து நடைபெற்று வருகின்றது. மலையிலிருந்து ஏற்பட்ட மண் சரிவு மற்றும் பாறை சரிவில் சிக்கிய 7 உயிர்கள் பறிபோயிருப்பது மிகுந்த ஒரு வேதனைக்குரிய ஒரு விஷயம். அவருடைய மரணத்திற்கு என்னுடைய இரங்கலை அரசின் சார்பாக தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றோம். மேலும் அவருடைய உறவினர்களுக்கு என்னுடைய ஆறுதலை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றேன். மாண்புமிகு தமிழக முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் உயிரிழந்தோருடைய குடும்பங்களுக்கு இழப்பீடாக தலா ரூபாய் 5 லட்சத்தை வழங்க உத்தரவிட்டிருக்கிறாங்க. அதனை நாளை மாலைக்குள் கொடுக்க வேண்டும் என்று மாவட்ட ஆட்சித்தலைவருக்கு சொல்லியிருக்கின்றேன்.
And Bengaluru has been witnessing rainfall since Sunday evening. Coastal and the southern part of Karnataka witnessing rain all the way till Wednesday because of the weakening of that cyclone. There is a yellow category warning that has been issued for Bengaluru, Hassan as well as Ramanagara. And we also know that the rainfall that we're expecting in areas such as Udupi could be even more than the other areas. Schools have remained closed in Kolad as well as Mysuru, and the IMD has also advised a fisherman warning. We're talking about the remnants that is continuing as far as the area is concerned. And to get you a sense of what is really happening on the ground, we have Pratibha joining us. Pratibha, this weather system has weakened and this is impacting Karnataka. We're talking about heavy rainfall. There are 15 districts which are expected to be getting very heavy rainfall over the next 24 hours.
Well, yes, the impact of this has been felt since Sunday evening in different districts of Karnataka, mainly the South Indian districts as well as the coastal districts of Karnataka affected. Most parts of Bengaluru as well as Bengaluru rural, Hassan and Chikmagalur and the Udupi regions are witnessing low to moderate rainfall. Of course, the IMD has predicted an orange alert for the coastal districts, which means that Udupi, Dakshin Kannada, all those regions would remain affected, and the schools and colleges have already been shut down for the next 2 days. What we also see in Bengaluru is that since Sunday evening, it is recorded around 6 centimeter to 11 centimeter rainfall, and this could continue for the next 24 to 48 hours. And talking of Bengaluru in particular, a lot of traffic jams that have already been witnessed. Navigating through these roads is definitely going to be a difficult task, but for now, there is some respite from rain. Back to you.
Right, Pratibha, we will keep coming back to you for more on that. Thank you so much for joining us. Moving on now to more news coming in, and this is in regard to the Prime Minister. Let's just get you the very latest in regard to, news coming in at the moment. And the Prime Minister, in fact, His Accessible India campaign marks 9 years of remarkable strides in ensuring universal accessibility for specially abled people. The campaign has emerged as a groundbreaking initiative aimed at creating a barrier-free environment for people with disabilities. From his days serving as the Chief Minister of the state of Gujarat to him serving as the Prime Minister of the country, his consistent dedication to the welfare remains an inspiring journey of compassion and inclusivity. Bringing more news amid this is President-elect Donald Trump's threat to impose 100% tariffs on BRIC nations, well, including India, if they undermine the US dollar or replace it for international transaction, is what the Transport Minister of South Africa had to say in an exclusive interview to my colleague Gauri, who has spoken about tariff threats, climate change, G20 and a lot more. Listen in.
In terms of your view with regard to BRICS, another very important multilateral institution, a platform where many countries are now wanting to be a part of, how do you see it, its potential, its outlook, given the challenges that the world is facing and the headwinds that exist right now?
Let me start with the G20. It's under the leadership of India, of the G20 leadership, that they came with a resolution to accept the African Union as a full member of the G20. And we want to thank India for that. And the BRICS partners represent millions of people in the global south. And again, it's an important platform to make sure that we look at how we trade amongst ourselves first. And that trade is growing. If you can see that India is our biggest partner in Asia, trading with South Africa and many other countries in Africa. We must, as the global south, as the G20, as BRICS, economic growth must be key on our agenda, inclusive economic growth, so that we deal with all the challenges that we face, like poverty, inequality.
I must ask you about the BRICS currency, its outlook amidst the commentary that's come in from President-elect Donald Trump, who's very categorically said that he's not going to allow anybody or any possibility of an alternate currency arrangement that may challenge or threaten the dominance of the US dollar. How do you see the prospects of the economic arrangement that the BRICS countries have really been talking about and have progressed much on, as well as on the BRICS currency?
Well, there's already an existing agreement that the BRICS currency, amongst ourselves as the BRICS nations, we will trade in our own currency. It is definitely give us value for money, and that has been happening. The debate about whether the BRICS countries want to shift to the dollarization of that, it's not on the agenda. What is on the agenda is that we want to trade as BRICS countries in our own currencies amongst ourselves, and nobody can stop us because it's to the benefit of the nations of the global south.
Switching tracks now, a court in Bangladesh has set today as the date for the bail hearing of Hindu leader Chinmoy Krishnadas Brahmachari, who was arrested last week on sedition charges. So this is a prominent former leader of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as ISKCON, in Bangladesh, was arrested last month after protests by the Hindu community demanding stronger legal protection in regard to minority groups. And to get more on this, we have my colleague Saurabh joining us. Saurabh, what time is this bail plea coming up in court? And take us through the situation on the ground in regard to the unrest that continues.
Well, this is, of course, something that's drawn international condemnation, and the arrest of Chinmoy Krishnadas and also the targeting of ISKCON is something that has even come up in the UK Parliament, and we've heard, people like Priti Patel and also others like, other MPs in UK also bringing up this issue. Now, Bangladesh has spiraled into a situation where minorities, especially the Hindu community in Bangladesh, is facing persecution. And that is at the hands of radical forces that seem to be exerting themselves, even as the government there, the interim government, seems unable to rein in these Islamic radical forces, and the Hindu groups continue to be targeted. Now, ISKCON, of course, has been labeled as a fundamentalist organization by the Bangladesh government, and that's something that's also drawn widespread outrage. Now, ISKCON is an international body. It stands for, the ISKCON, the abbreviation stands for International Society for Krishna Consciousness. They are devotees of Lord Krishna, and they have international operations. They are not only a religious body, they're also a philanthropic body that does a lot of social work during natural calamities. And, they've also worked during the recent floods in Bangladesh, irrespective of caste, creed, community. They've done social work and relief work. Now, Chinmay Krishna Das is someone who's a devotee of ISKCON, I beg your pardon, but he's not someone who's in a position officially in the ISKCON. However, his arrest is something that ISKCON has also been tied to, and therefore, ISKCON has also come out strongly in his support. And this is something that is going to be watched today, because the due process of law is something that, the Shadow Foreign Secretary Preeti Patel spoke about. Also she said that this is something that we'll have to see if due process is being followed. Remember, several ISKCON priests have faced persecution. Monks like Chinmay Krishna Das have been arrested. And that is something that, of course, all eyes are on, because that bail hearing is going to take place today. There have been incidents of protest in India as well, but this is a very, very clear, sort of messaging that perhaps is not just coming out of India, but also other countries across the world, where there is concern over what's going on in Bangladesh and the persecution and targeting of the minority community, the Hindu community in Bangladesh. And therefore, everyone's watching these court proceedings very clearly to see if due process is being followed or not.
Right, thank you so much, Saurabh. Of course, like Saurabh was mentioning, it is the MPs in the United Kingdom who are asking for robust action that needs to be, that's needed. In fact, like he mentioned, it was not just Preeti Patel, the Home Secretary, who's expressed her deep concerns over the awful violence in Bangladesh. She's called on the government to set out how they are engaging with the Bangladeshi government on this very pressing and important issue. Before that, it was UK Member of Parliament Bob Blackman, chairman of the All-Party Parliamentary Group for British Hindus, who raised concerns in the House of Commons over the attacks on Hindus in Bangladesh.
It's also raised the arrest of the ISKCON leader, and it's a place of worship I too am very familiar with, near his constituency. But Mr. Speaker, these are deep and long-standing ties between our two countries, and the Minister herself is right to point out that even though she's visited Bangladesh recently, as my honourable friend, the member opposite, has said, the degree of escalation in the violence is deeply, deeply concerning. And what we are witnessing now is just uncontrolled violence in many quarters. And we are now watching with horror and shock as further violence is spread in Bangladesh. We must emphasise that all efforts must be taken now. We have a religious leader who has now been arrested. We need to know effectively what is being done to secure his release, due process in particular.
Since the fall of the previous government in August of this year, Bangladesh has seen more than 2,000 incidents of violence, most of which have been targeted against the minority Hindu community. Hindus make up less than 10% of the Bangladesh population, and my honourable friend will be aware that anti-Hindu violence has been a recurrent event in the country, and indeed the Jamaat-e-Islami party was earlier this year banned after riots in which 200 people were killed. A leading Hindu monk, Chinmay Krishna Das, who is a former leader of the ISKCON Krishna consciousness movement, has been arrested. The situation is clearly on a knife edge, and with such large diaspora populations in the UK and with large Hindu communities with strong links to the community in Bangladesh, I'd ask my honourable friend what more she can do to have discussions with the Bangladeshi government to ensure that, and with other partners in the region, to ensure that tensions are lowered, the rule of law put into effect.
And switching tracks now to Maharashtra, and the suspense over the new chief minister is likely to end today as the BJP is scheduled to elect its legislative party leader in the legislative party meeting that's scheduled for tomorrow. Meanwhile, NCP chief Ajit Pawar arrived in Delhi last night for a meeting with the top leadership. It is Devendra Fadnavis's confidant Girish Mahajan who visited Eknath Shinde, who has been unwell. Do remember he fell sick when he was away to Satara over the weekend. Now he went to see him at his residence on Monday evening. Now, even as the BJP and the Sena say that it was just a courtesy call and that he had gone there to inquire about Shinde's health, speculation is rife that Mahajan had carried a message as far as the power sharing formula is concerned, that power sharing pact. This is a meeting now that's going to be taking place with the Mahayuti leaders, and that is slated to take place soon. Let's just listen in to what Girish Mahajan really had to say.
माननीय एकनाथ जी शिंदे साहब 4-5 दिन से बीमार थे, इसलिए मैं उनकी तबीयत की पूछताछ करने यहाँ पर उनके घर आया था। करीब 1 घंटा सवा घंटा हम लोग साथ में बैठे, पूरी बातचीत हमारी वहाँ पर हुई है। 5 तारीख की तैयारी के बारे में भी उन्होंने मुझसे कुछ बातें की, मैंने भी उनसे कुछ कहा अवगत करा, क्योंकि बाहर ही नहीं आए थे। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि 5 तारीख का कार्यक्रम हमारा ऐतिहासिक कार्यक्रम में ऊपर होगा। देश भर से सभी नेता, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, अमित भाई है, नड्डा जी है, सभी नेता यहाँ पर आएंगे और बड़े धूमधाम से ये कार्यक्रम मनाया जाएगा।
And to get more on this, we have Anuj joining us. Anuj, we might not know who is really becoming the chief minister of the state, but we do know that the swearing-in ceremony is taking place on the 5th. And there we heard Girish Mahajan talking about that this is going to be an oath-taking ceremony where the big wigs are going to be there. He's talking about Amit Shah, JP Nadda, and of course the Prime Minister himself, who will be present in the state of Maharashtra at the Azad Maidan at 5 o'clock on the 5th of December. Take us to the arrangements in place, the celebrations, preparations in regard to this, and of course also, how soon can we know? I mean, we do know there's just 48 hours to go, but can we expect that announcement to come about anytime between today and tomorrow?
Well, you see, the lead up to the swearing-in ceremony has got two sides to it. On one hand, we are seeing that the Bharatiya Janata Party leaders are very excited and are fully preparing for the 5th of December event. We saw the Mumbai president of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Ashish Shelar, convene a meeting of the local MLAs to oversee the preparations. We've also seen several leaders from Mumbai visit the place just to make sure that the arrangements put in place are good. Besides that, we're also seeing that several NCP leaders have also made a point to just check on the arrangements. But then there are two sides to it. Firstly, the excitement of the BJP and the NCP, and secondly, the kind of distance that Shiv Sena, Shinde faction is keeping from these arrangements, at least as of now. Although leaders have gone on record, this is from Shinde Sena and also from the BJP, that the date was decided with a consensus, and that the fact that the date they will go ahead with the swearing-in ceremony regardless of what happens in the next few days. One can really sense that the anticipation for it is far more in the BJP camp than what it is in the Shinde Sena camp. Yesterday, we saw Ajit Pawar plan a trip to Delhi to meet Amit Shah, and that again is another interesting pointer, because what should have been a state-level discussion to distribute portfolios, things that have been sorted out by state-level heads of the respective parties, now seems to be taken up by the Home Minister himself. We're also been told that there is a report card system that has been put in place where Amit Shah is personally looking into the report cards of all those interested people who are trying to throw their hat in the ring when it comes to ministerial berths.
Anuj, also that as far as the distribution of the portfolio is concerned, even that is going to be pushed after the oath-taking ceremony, is what we're hearing from our sources. Thank you so much, Anuj. We will keep coming back to you for more as to what is really taking place in Maharashtra and the run-up to the swearing-in ceremony that's scheduled for Thursday. Moving on now, top experts continue to question the Adani Group indictment by the US Department of Justice. Sushant Sareen, a senior fellow at the ORF, has spoken about how the US Justice Department has, this case against the Adani Group is extremely weak, and how it's astonishing that such a case was mounted in the first place. Listen in.
अक्सर अमेरिका में ये एक आरोप लगाया जा रहा था कि अमेरिका के अंदर जो कानून प्रणाली है, जो डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ जस्टिस उनका है, उसको एक तरीके से हथियार की तरह इस्तेमाल किया जाता है अपने जो राजनीतिक या आपके आइडियोलॉजिकल जो प्रतिद्वंद्वी हैं उनके खिलाफ। और ये हमने अमेरिका की राजनीति के अंदर देखा है, लेकिन साथ ही साथ हमने देखा है कि कैसे डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ जस्टिस का इस्तेमाल किया जाता है बिल्कुल बेबुनियाद आरोप लगाने के लिए। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जो अभी एक आरोप लगा भारत के उद्योगपति के ऊपर, गौतम अडानी के ऊपर और उनकी कंपनियों के ऊपर, अगर आप वो चार्जशीट पढ़ लें और जिस हिसाब से वो जो चार्जशीट बनाई गई उनके खिलाफ और जिस तरीके से वो केस उनके खिलाफ रजिस्टर किया गया, एक लिहाज से आप सर पकड़ के बैठ जाते हैं कि अमेरिका जो अपने आप को एक महाशक्ति मानता है, वहां पर इतना भोंडा केस, ये तो पाकिस्तान जैसे देश में भी इस तरीके के भोंडे केस नहीं बनते जिस तरीके का केस अमेरिका ने बनाया है गौतम अडानी के खिलाफ। और उसका एक ही कारण था, क्योंकि गौतम अडानी को वो अपने एक लिहाज जो उनका एक फलसफा है दुनिया भर के ऊपर, उसमें एक बहुत बड़ा अड़चन मानते हैं। वो ये मानते हैं कि अगर गौतम अडानी को हम नीचे लगा लें, मानते हैं कि अगर हम गौतम अडानी को अपने नीचे लगा लें तो उसके साथ हम भारत की जो सरकार है उसको ऊपर भी सेंध लगा सकेंगे, क्योंकि ये वाली जो सरकार है, अमेरिका में जो लेफ्ट विंग वाले लोग हैं, जो एक अल्ट्रा लिबरल या पागल लेफ्टिस्ट का जो एक तबका है, जो अमेरिका में बहुत एक लिहाज से प्रभावी है, वो बहुत नफरत करते हैं भारत में। अगर कोई भी हिंदुओं की बात करे या कोई भी भारत के अपने हितों की बात करे तो उससे वो बहुत खार खाते हैं। इसी में एक जो सो कॉल्ड सोरोस नेटवर्क है उसका भी अमल दखल रहा है। हमने ये भी देखा कि जॉर्ज सोरोस का एक बहुत प्रसिद्ध वीडियो भी है जिसमें जब पहली बारी गौतम अडानी की कंपनियों के ऊपर आरोप लगाए गए तो उस समय उन्होंने कहा कि देखिए, अगर अडानी को हम नीचे लगा लेंगे तो उसके साथ साथ मोदी जी की जो सरकार है वो भी नीचे गिर जाएगी। तो क्लियरली ये नजर आ रहा था कि जाते जाते जो डेमोक्रेटिक जो एस्टैब्लिशमेंट थी या जो डेमोक्रेटिक माफिया था अमेरिका में, उसकी ये कोशिश थी कि कैसे अमेरिका और भारत के बीच में या जो आने वाली अमेरिकी सरकार है और जो भारत की सरकार है उसके ऊपर सेंध लगाई जाए।
Questions being raised there, of course, with these top experts there questioning that case by the US Department of Justice. With that, we're slipping a short break. Back with a whole lot more. Stay with us.
Introducing Vice 4K UHD Smart TV. Quantum Luminate gives more than 1 billion colors. Upscale your content resolution up to 4K. Enjoy your games with auto low latency mode. Watch your favorite movie with voice command.
Play my favorite movie.
Experience sound with Dolby Audio. Connect with your favorite apps and games on the Content Store. Powered by Web OS Hub. Connects with Apple devices. Unlimited family entertainment with Vice TV. Vice, the science of simple.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7.
Becoming a member of jury of NDTV was a totally different challenge altogether.
When you recognize contribution to society, these stories are inspiration for everyone who views them.
The NDTV Indian of the Year is an extremely important initiative.
Nominees were just extraordinary.
Each one of them is a rock star.
And the achievers in this field who are inspiration for the Indians in this country have been chosen for this prestigious award.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps.
And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Hello and welcome to India Sense, where I speak with global opinion makers.
The United States has made a strategic decision over the last 20 years to move closer to India.
Now, a $7 trillion economy seems a perfectly conceivable number.
If you want to be a national party, it's that you sort of accept the way the world is rather than want to endlessly hark back to how it was.
Modi is promoting the digitization of the economy, which is accelerating growth in the country.
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group.
Welcome back. Bollywood actor Nargis Fakhri's sister Alia Fakhri has now been arrested in the murder probe of her ex-boyfriend and his friend in Queens, New York. Alia, 43 years of age, allegedly set a two-story garage on fire, which led to the death of the two people. Deliberately, she went ahead and set fire, is what the police has gone on to claim. And in fact, this is in regard to the relationship or they had apparently broken up about a year ago, but Alia Fakhri apparently could not come to terms with the breakup. We have my colleague Abira joining us. Abira, from what we hear is that the relationship was a turbulent one. The mother has gone on to say that they'd broken up a year ago and that, it was, Alia Fakhri, the sister of, when we talk about she of Nargis Fakhri, who couldn't come to terms, and she went ahead and set this garage on fire in which 2 lives have been lost.
Yes, you know what, it has been said that eyewitnesses have said that they had a very toxic relationship. The 43-year-old Alia Fakhri and the 35-year-old Jacob, they broke up last year. Terms with that, and her mother, Alia's mother, that is Nargis Fakhri's mother, she said that Alia had struggled with opioid addiction, after a dental mishap. Maybe that she believes that may have caused this behavior. So this is what the attorney is saying. District attorney has said that she came early in the morning on 2nd of November and she screamed outside the house, you are all gonna die, according to the witness. And then she set fire in the garage. It was a 2-story garage, and Jacob was sleeping while his friend did come down when alerted, but she went back to save Jacob, and later both of them died because of smoke and injury.
Right, so there are witnesses in the case, and in regard to the kind of case that's being built up against Alia Fakhri, the sister of Nargis Fakhri, who has deliberately set fire to a garage that led to the death of a 35-year-old ex-boyfriend. Thank you, Abira, for joining us. Moving on now, let's just also get you the latest from the United States. President-elect Donald Trump has promised that there will be hell to pay if captives held in Gaza during Israel's ongoing war are not released by the time he takes office on the 20th of January. The statement on Monday was Trump's most forceful on the deadlocked efforts to bring an end to the war since the 5th of November, since the elections that took place, and comes amid reports that he is pushing for a ceasefire to be reached before his second term begins. And Donald Trump will be in Paris in order to visit the opening ceremony of the Notre Dame Cathedral. Trump will be traveling to Paris this weekend, and this will be Trump's first trip abroad since winning the US elections. Do remember that Notre Dame was set on fire. In that fire, it has taken about 5 years since Notre Dame shut down in 2019. So the Notre Dame Cathedral is set to reopen this weekend on the 8th of December after 5 years. And it is French President Emmanuel Macron who made that final visit to the construction site before its grand opening that's going to be taking place. The 850-year-old building will, this is, going to be quite a grand event. They're saying that it's even prettier than before. However, the outside continues to remain a construction site with a crane, and that is going to continue. However, we are going to be seeing, a lot of changes that while restoring that cathedral that has now been restored. It's taken 5 years in the making. Now let's switch tracks to some entertainment news. And the hype surrounding Pushpa 2, The Rule, is reaching new heights as the film is set to break records even before its release, with massive fire events, staggering advance ticket sales, and a global release across more than 12,000 screens. Let's take a closer look.
The makers strategically planned the film promotions, which started from Patna to Mumbai and then back home to Hyderabad.
पुष्पा कभी झुकेगा नहीं, लेकिन आज पहली बार आपका प्यार के लिए झुकेगा.
The overall excitement of Pushpa 2 is humongous. If we see the advance booking, especially in Hindi, already the first day collection is supposed to be near about 7.45 crores in the advance booking itself. This film will make not less than 80 crores on its opening day.
And the numbers keep growing, with Telangana leading the way, grossing 9.8 crore with a massive 54% occupancy rate. Over 1,400 shows are lined up. But it's not just in South. Even West Bengal is getting in on the action with 1.21 crore advance booking and a solid 21% occupancy rate.
Pushpa Raj, झुकेगा नहीं.
In an unprecedented move, Pushpa 2 is also making waves with its pricing.
Fire है तू. Fire नहीं. Wild fire है. Boom. जो मेरे हक का पैसा है.
For the official release day, the Telangana government approved 2 additional shows. First is scheduled for 1 a.m. and the other for 4 a.m. in addition to the 5 standard shows.
It's a big worldwide release, more than 12,000 screens. It's not only that, it's one of the biggest IMAX releases globally. It is releasing in 6 languages, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Hindi and Bangla. I believe that if all goes well, we are expecting a big, huge box office start on its day 1.
Reporting from Mumbai, this is Abira Dhar for NDTV.
And with that, we're slipping a very short break. News and updates will continue on NDTV 24/7. Do stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
And Dr. S. Shankar, the External Affairs Minister, has taken to social media site X to announce that he's delighted to interact with the participants of the 79th No India program in Delhi. Great to see the enthusiasm for and interest in the transformational changes underway in the country, and spoke to them about how India values its diaspora participation in our journey towards Viksit Bharat.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your lives.
News that informs and keeps you ahead.
from maximum city, Mumbai,
to the seat of governance, Delhi.
NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here. It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7.
Becoming a member of jury of NDTV was a totally different challenge altogether.
When you recognize contribution to society, these stories are inspiration for everyone who views them.
The NDTV Indian of the Year is an extremely important initiative.
Nominees were just extraordinary.
Each one of them is a rock star.
And the achievers in this field who are inspiration for the Indians in this country have been chosen for this prestigious award.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility, according to the prestigious Reuters Institute's digital news report.
Akal Takht has sentenced the former Punjab Deputy Chief Minister to cleaning duty in the kitchen and bathrooms of several Gurudwaras, including Amritsar Darbar Sahib, the Golden Temple, for favouring Dera Sacha Sauda Chief Gurmeet Ram Rahim in the 2015 sacrilege of Guru Granth Sahib case. The week-long standoff in Parliament came to an end as the government and the opposition reached an agreement which was reflected by the announcement of dates for a special discussion on the Constitution in both the houses. A key banking bill is on the agenda for today. Unfortunately, 7 people have been killed in a landslide in Tamil Nadu due to Cyclone Fangel. Stalin's government, meanwhile, tells the centre to release 2,000 crore rupees from the NDRF fund. As far as the suspense in Maharashtra is concerned, the BJP meet is likely to choose the Chief Minister. A court in Bangladesh has set today as the date for the bail hearing of Hindu leader Chinmoy Krishnadas Brahmachari, arrested last week on sedition charges. And now you can take a Shikara ride on Dal Lake with a tap on an app. Uber Shikara is the ride-hailing app's first water transport service in India and also introduces features such as pre-booking and trip insurances for Shikara rides. It's 10 a.m. You are watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Parmeshwar Bava. A big focus currently in a scathing indictment of the Shiromani Akali Dal and its president Sukhbir Singh Badal. The Akal Takht Jathedar Yani Raghbir Singh has imposed religious punishment on Badal and other senior Akali leaders, saying they were unfit to lead the Sikh community. Akal Takht has sentenced the former Punjab Deputy Chief Minister to cleaning duty in the kitchen and bathrooms of several Gurdwaras, including Amritsar's Golden Temple, for favouring Dera Sacha Sauda Chief Gurmeet Ram Rahim in the 2015 sacrilege of Guru Granth Sahib. The Akal Takht has indicted Sukhbir Badal. For the latest, let's go across to my colleague Gurpreet, who's tracking the finer details. Gurpreet, extending beyond punitive measures, the Jathedar has also asked the Shiromani Akali Dal to stop squabbling and rebuild their regional party.
Well, yes, of course. We have seen the 5 high priests. They have already made a lot of announcement, and these are the religious punishment which has been given to the former Deputy Chief Minister of Punjab, Sukhbir Singh Badal. He has been asked to stay at the Golden Temple as a Sevadar, and today we have seen he has already reached here as a punishment, a religious punishment which has been given by the Jathedars of Akal Takht Sahib. At the same time, we have seen a lot of things which has been asked to the Sikh community, because at that time when Shiromani Akali Dal was ruling in the state, they were not able to even give a justice to the people in the sacrilegious cases, and they had heard the sentiments of the Sikh community by pardoning to Dera Sacha Sauda Chief Gurmeet Ram Rahim. So these were the serious allegations against the Shiromani Akali Dal. We have seen the 5 priests, the high priest, they had announced this punishment to the former Deputy Chief Minister, and today he is acting, and he has been given direction by the Jathedar Akal Takht Sahib and 5 high priests, saying that they are supposed to follow all these directions which has been given as a religious punishment. So let's see that how they are going to organize and reorganize Akali Dal. At the same time, we have seen one of the award of Fakhre Qaum which has been given to the former Chief Minister of Punjab, Prakash Singh Badal, that had already withdrawn by the 5 high priests when they had announced this verdict against Shiromani Akali Dal and former Shiromani Akali Dal leader and former Deputy Chief Minister. So they are following all the directions and the verdict which has been given by 5 high priests of Akal Takht Sahib. Back to studio.
As always, Gurpreet, thanks so much for joining us with the latest developments. With that, let's turn our attention now to the winter session of Parliament. Both houses of Parliament are set to resume functioning in the ongoing winter session after a week-long standoff between the government and the opposition that ended in an agreement. Ahead of today's sitting, leaders of the India bloc are meeting at Congress President and Rajya Sabha Leader of Opposition Mallikarjun Kharge's office in Parliament, is what we're being told. But the first week of the session has been washed out. Can we be hopeful that some serious business will be conducted this week? Well, to find out, let's go across to my colleague Vasudha Venugopal, who's been tracking all the finer details for you. She joins us live from Vijay Chowk at the moment. Vasudha, it's over to you.
Thank you, Parmeshwar. Good morning to you and good morning to all our viewers. I come to you from live outside the Parliament, and it's an important day today. It's an important day because it's day 7 of the Parliament, and it's also a day to test if the breakthrough that we talked about yesterday between the opposition parties and the government in the Parliament to end the deadlock that we saw in the last 6 days has finally ended. If there's been any sort of breakthrough or, for that matter, resolution of sorts. In fact, both houses are set to convene at 11 a.m. today, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and this happens after continuous disruptions, adjournments that both houses saw in the last 6 days. There's a lot on legislative agenda. There is the banking laws that is supposed to get introduced today. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is going to introduce that, and that will actually make the lives of depositors easy. It's going to increase the number of nominees, and it's also going to make the banking experience in India slightly better. That's what the bill intends to do. There's also the Oil Fields Regulation Act, which will look at changing the way significantly the way how hydrocarbon exploration is done in India. There's also the Railway Amendment Bill and also the Aviation Bill. Aviation sector is something that has seen a lot of ups and downs in the last few months. So clearly a lot on the legislative agenda. But the big question is, will any of that be taken up considering what really happened in the last 6 days? But remember, yesterday there was an important breakthrough. The government has decided to have 4 days of debate on Constitution of India. This was something that the opposition has been demanding. On 13th and 14th, we will witness this debate in the Lok Sabha, and in 16th and 17th, we will witness this debate in the Rajya Sabha. The Prime Minister himself could be responding to this debate, which makes it all the more symbolic. The Gandhis could be part of this. All that is for us to wait and watch. And remember, the opposition leaders are also meeting at Mallikarjun Kharge, Congress President's chambers in the Parliament complex today to devise a Parliament strategy that could be accommodating of all their interests. Remember, there are fissures and fault lines which have erupted in the India bloc as well, with the Congress party insisting on, having a debate on the Adani issue, something of the bribery allegations which the group has completely denied, and the opposition parties, the other opposition parties, including Samajwadi Party and TMC, raising other issues that are of more meaning and consequence to people of the country, and in some ways breaking ranks with the Congress party. So we'll have to wait and watch how accommodating the Congress party gets, or if it does not really, or if it charts its own path. We'll have to wait and watch for that. Remember, yesterday was also Minister of External Affairs Dr. S. Jaishankar's important statement on India-China relations, on the disengagement talks that have happened. Remember, the implementation has already taken place in Ladakh, but we'll have to wait and see if that statement is made. Let me go across to my colleague Aishwarya, who's been tracking the Parliament very closely for us. Aishwarya, tell us what all is expected today.
Well, Vasudha, adding to that, it is Samajwadi Party who had been given permission during the floor leaders meeting that was called by the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, that they can raise the issue of Sambal during the 0 hour as well, and the Trinamool Congress, who wanted to raise the issue of violence over Hindus in Bangladesh. That could be in fact raised by the Trinamool Congress in the 0 hour as well. But the deadlock that had continued for the first week of the winter session of Parliament, that is something that we will come to an end today, because it was the opposition MPs and the Treasury benches MPs who had been stating that there had been some midpoint that had arrived as far as the entire Lok Jam is concerned. They had agreed to the constitution debate, and that's what the opposition MPs have written earlier to the Lok Sabha Speaker and Rajya Sabha Chairperson. The dates have now been decided for both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha for the constitution debate, and of course Prime Minister might intervene in this debate as well. The Congress party had been saying that they also wanted to express their views on the adoption of Constitution of India. Of course, we have seen the debate that had lasted for almost 6 months from now in several of the election rallies, where the Congress party had been saying that they are the real followers of the Constitution of India, and it is the Bharatiya Janata Party who is doing and photo op opportunity. In fact, Rahul Gandhi in one of his rallies went on to say and challenged Prime Minister Narendra Modi that he had even not read the constitution book of the country as well. So that will be very interesting to see on 13th or 14th in Lok Sabha, where this debate will take place, and in Rajya Sabha on 16th and 17th of December, when the dates had been finalized. Apart from it, yes, of course, the government is in a view that there should be constructive debates that should take place, and therefore important legislative bills are to be tabled for consideration and passing as well. As you rightly mentioned, in the Rajya Sabha, there are two bills that are going to table as far as the Vayuyan Vidhayak 2024 and the Oil Fields Amendment Bill. In the Lok Sabha, two of the important bills are scheduled for tabling, the all-important Banking Amendment Bill and the Railway Amendment Bill as well. But certainly it is the important opposition block meeting that is going to be taking place inside the Parliament complex at Mallikarjun Kharge's chambers, where the opposition will be strategizing as to how to go ahead in this winter session of the Parliament. Of course, several adjournment notices that had been given. Gaurav Gogoi had given a notice on discussing the Manipur issue. It is Mr. Vijay Kumar of the Congress party who had been asking for fund release, immediate fund release for the cyclone that had affected in the state of Tamil Nadu. So all of those will be entertained as well today, and we will hopefully see a better Parliament, a constructive debate today between the opposition MPs and the Treasury benches as well.
Right. Thank you, Aishwarya, for joining us with those critical details. We'll keep coming back to you as you are tracking this session closely. Let me bring in my guests now. Aarti Jairath, political and social analyst. We also have Charu Pragya representing the BJP. We have Salem Dharanidharan representing the DMK. Thank you all of you for joining me this morning. Good morning to you. Charu Pragya, to you first. I remember in, last term of the government and even before that, there was this allegation that the BJP uses its sheer strength of numbers to ensure that the bills get passed. There's no debate. But clearly with the numbers, of course, being there, but not really as much as we saw in 2019 and 2014, do you think that the government's governance agenda is being affected with these constant disruptions? And are you confident that the government will actually find a way out?
Sudha, good morning, and a very good morning to my fellow panelists as well. Let's remember that every single day, every single minute of the parliament functioning is critical and important to the citizens of this country. I'm not even going to get into how much money is being wasted session after session after session. In fact, I drew up a list to show how in the last 3 to 4 years, not even one parliament session has been allowed to function somewhat normally. But when you talk about building consensus, Vasudha, I think Modi Sarkar has always been very good at that. Because if you remember way back in 2014-15, before the numbers in Rajya Sabha started changing, important bills were pushed through and they were all done by consensus, because getting those bills passed in Rajya Sabha when we didn't have the required numbers used to be quite a challenge. They were done smoothly and they were done in the most appropriate manner. So I still think that consensus building, working together with other political parties is something which comes very naturally to the NDA. We might have to do a little more focusing on making sure the parliament functions though, and that has been one thing which has been bothersome. The last 5 days were a complete washout. It's not just the NDA's MPs who are speaking up about this. Now suddenly India Alliance leaders are also speaking up and saying this level of wastage of the parliament time is just not done.
Right. Let me go across to Salem Dharanidharan. Dharanidharan, how do you see this whole fig leaf that has also been offered to the opposition? Because the government has decided to have this debate on the Constitution of India, something that the opposition has been wanting for, and this is a great opportunity for the opposition also to talk about several things that they feel is wrong with the BJP's form of governance. How do you see this, and also what is the DMK's point of view when it comes to running of the government? Because everybody really running of the parliament session, because clearly, one of the parties with a high number of MPs, you do want the parliament to run and the legislative agenda to be taken up, isn't it?
I think the parliament is very important to have a functioning parliament. The problem is ever since 2014, Modi came with a thumping majority, the number of days the parliament works started to reduce. The number of minutes takes for a bill to be discussed in the parliament kept reducing. In fact, in the last parliament from 2019-2024, some bills were not even discussed for a minute. They were just the opposition MPs were thrown out of the house, and then the bills were just passed in seconds, dozens of bills. And we also saw how some bills were passed as money bills. That case is still pending in the Supreme Court. We've seen how ordinance route was taken to discuss to pass some bills. So I think that this government does not believe in discussion, and I think that's our problem. In democracy, right? When you protest in democracy, I think that's also a form of democracy. When bills are not being discussed, when bills are passed as money bills, when very important issues such as Adani, where the Prime Minister under the ruling party, the BJP, is implicated, and that is not discussed, I think you need to resort to protest, because if they don't do it, then how will you make them do it? Through protest, right? We got independence to protest. So the opposition parties, we all been asking for different issues. Samajwadi has been asking to discuss Sambal issue, the Trinamool Congress about the Bangladesh issue, right? The Congress as such and DMK on the Adani issue. So we've been asking for this, and they've not been doing. We saw how the NDA behaved from 2009 to 2009 to 2014. They never let the parliament to function, even though the bills were then being discussed. Because of the coalition government, all the bills were being discussed. There's no bill that was passed as a money bill, of course, unless it's a money bill. Here, the regular bills are being passed as money bills. There's no discussion whatsoever, right? So then how do we make the...
Let me get a quick response from Charu before I go to Aarti. Charu, would you like to quickly respond to that?
Yeah, well, I would like to remind the opposition spokesperson that when your own alliance partner Mamata Banerjee has an issue with the way the time of the parliament is being wasted, when Sharad Pawarji makes a statement and says that in some kind of a stubbornness you pick up the same issue which is actually not resonating with the people of India, maybe you should do some introspection. Even the Kerala Chief Minister has spoken out against what has been happening in the parliament in recent times. And maybe some internal consultation will do you good. See, the issue has now become that the stubbornness of one opposition leader is driving the narrative in a way which is a waste of time for every political party, not just the parties in power. That needs to stop. Session after session after session is being washed out because you're unwilling to listen. And if you think that debates are not happening in parliament, every time a debate happens in parliament or an important leader of the NDA stands up to speak, the India Alliance leaders stage a walkout. Your outstanding MPs always standing outside parliament but never bothering to be inside and listening in to what is being said by the government. So if you want to walk out, you cannot blame the other side.
Okay. Aarti Chairath, how do you view this, ma'am? Because, while there is, a lot of celebration in the BJP camp with these successive electoral victories with both Haryana and Maharashtra, the numbers at the central level remain the same, 240 MPs, and the Congress has 99 MPs. So clearly, but the Congress party also needs to understand that mood of the public often changes within months. So how important is it for the Congress party to also ensure that the parliament runs, and how important is it for the government to also, maybe give that space to the opposition to ensure that the House functions?
Yes, Vasudha. You see, I think for the Congress party, it is quite a dilemma because they have done so badly in the last two elections. One in Haryana, where they were in direct competition with the BJP, and in Maharashtra, where, their whole alliance kind of really collapsed in front of the Mahayuti challenge. So, for the Congress party, that josh of winning 99 seats is kind of wearing thin now. And it also no longer commands that kind of dominance and that kind of, sort of strength within the India alliance to assert itself. As we've seen and as you saw that, there was a kind of difference of opinion within the India alliance on several issues, the issues that the Congress was insisting on raising. One was, of course, the Adani issue, and also on the fact that Mamata Banerjee very clearly